Rebirth, prices depreciate a million times. When I woke up, the times had changed. Maserati President, priced at 2.5 yuan. A second-tier city's downtown school district house, priced at 4.7 yuan. Hot search, Chinese businessman Ma Mou, ranked 7th on the global rich list with personal assets of 380,000 yuan. Hot search, Xinhua News Agency reported that the national annual per capita income this year is 2.83 cents, an increase of 6 percentage points over last year. Zhengyang was stunned and took a look at his savings of more than 2 million yuan. There was also a sack of 5 and 10 yuan change that he was going to deposit in the bank, and he fell into deep thought. Chapter 1, Is it a crime to save some change? Hiss, tilde. A cold breeze swept through, and Zhengyang shivered, waking up. He was sitting in the bank lobby, waiting to handle some business, and had somehow dozed off. New world loaded successfully, global prices reduced by 1 million times. Only your total assets remain unchanged. Your current assets are 2,153,795.93 yuan, already deposited into the system. 2.15 million. Oh, that must be the money from selling the investment property I had, so now I can start over. Wait. System. Zhengyang shivered again. This time, he was fully awake, completely alert, and shook his head vigorously before standing up abruptly. That was definitely not a hallucination. It was a clear, logical message echoing in his mind. But seeing the strange looks from the people around him, he sat down again, tightening his grip on the 2 fabric bags in his hands. These 2 bags contained the small change his brother had sent him. On his phone was also a message from his brother yesterday. Little brat, why didn't you tell me about your failed business venture? Why did Liu or Go have to tell me? Mom and Dad passed away early, and I'm not much help either. This wedding house, the wedding, it was all funded by you. Now you're in trouble and didn't tell me. Are you trying to let the villagers point fingers at me? Here's 8,000 in change we've saved up, and I've also taken out 40,000 for your future. I'll transfer it to you in a few days. Hang in there, I've got your back. When Zhengyang read this message yesterday, he felt a pang in his heart. After some back and forth, he convinced his brother not to send the money, telling him he'd explain everything when he went back in a while. Even though he had failed in business 6 months ago, lost everything, and ended up sharing a rental apartment with a girl, falling into a period of depression, he had slowly regained his spirits with her help. Thankfully, when he had money before, he had invested in a property in the city center. He sold it recently for 2.15 million yuan, more than 3 times what he paid for it. He was at the bank today to deposit the change his brother had sent. His brother and sister-in-law ran a small business in the county, earning every penny through hard work, and it was all in small change 1s, 5s, and 10s. After depositing it, he would transfer the money back to them. Also, there's Baola. That silly girl paid the water and electricity bills for me again last month without telling me. Now that I have money, I should treat her well. Just thinking about her made Zhengyang smile involuntarily. After work, he'd go pick her up for dinner. She worked as a fitness trainer in a nearby gym. Please, number 1069, to window 3. The electronic voice in the lobby announced, and Zhengyang quickly stood up and walked to window 3. Inside the counter, 3 girls were chatting around a seated girl, seemingly discussing where to go shopping, laughing and gossiping. When they saw Zhengyang approaching, the seated girl smiled professionally. How can I assist you today? Oh, I have some change, I just want to deposit it. Zhengyang said, placing both fabric bags directly on the counter. The teller's face darkened slightly. They hated dealing with this kind of task counting for ages until their hands ached. However, she reluctantly opened a side window and took the 2 bags. As soon as she opened the large bag, the other 3 girls leaned over, watching with a hint of schadenfreude. But the next second, whoosh! They all stumbled backward, as if pushed by some invisible force, their movements synchronized like a choreographed dance. Zhengyang was initially a bit embarrassed, as he knew counting change could be a hassle. But seeing their reactions, he frowned. Are you kidding me? Not far away, a security guard noticed the commotion and quickly rushed over. What's going on here? They thought Zhengyang might have dangerous items in the bag. Handsome, handsome, handsome. The female teller said with a frightened expression, her lips trembling. Zhengyang was completely confused. He knew he was handsome, but to be praised so directly was awkward. Is this a joke? This amount, I can't handle it. Let me call our manager. Zhengyang frowned. Is this sarcasm? I just want to deposit some change. Is it really necessary to mock me like this? The service here is awful. But the female teller was already stumbling toward the back. Soon, a manager came out, practically tumbling over himself. Good heavens, do these people at the bank not know how to walk properly? When the manager saw the bag of change, he froze. His chubby hands had nowhere to go, and he swallowed hard, struggling to control his excitement as he asked. Handsome sir, are you depositing all of this money here? Zhengyang looked at the security guards around him and nodded. Yes, 8,000 yuan, deposited into my account. Hiss. Tilde. As soon as their words, 8,000 yuan, were spoken, everyone gasped. Zhengyang silently cursed in his heart, damn, global warming is all because of you people. Oh, we can't handle this at our branch. I'll contact you at the main branch. Don't worry, we'll arrange for a special car to escort you. The manager was terrified that Zhengyang might leave. He nervously started dialing the phone, explaining as he gestured frantically. Main branch? The manager soon ran off to the side. Hello. Branch manager, something has happened. What's the hurry, came the reply from the other end of the line. A young man came in, wanting to deposit a bag of money. He says he has 8,000 yuan, and it's all in 5 and 10 yuan bills, a whole bag full. What? 8,000? Is he depositing it, or is he buying our bank? The voice on the other side immediately rose by several octaves. The sound of a chair scraping across the floor could be heard clearly. Depositing, he says it's for deposit. Immediately, find a way to bring him to the main branch. No, wait. I'll come personally to pick him up. You keep him there. The person on the other end seemed flustered, and quickly hung up the phone. The manager wiped his forehead in a cold sweat and rushed out, now speaking to Zhengyang in an excessively flattering tone. Zhengyang was still a bit confused but vaguely understood that he seemed to be someone important. He half-heartedly responded to the manager's flattery. After just a few minutes, the sound of wailing sirens suddenly filled the air. The loud noise quickly grew unbearable. Soon, the lobby was in chaos. A squad of heavily armed black-suited Special Forces agents stormed in, forming two neat rows. A middle-aged man in an expensive suit, flanked by a group of people, walked straight in. When they saw Zhengyang, they froze. His casual outfit, with worn slippers, gave him the appearance of someone living in a nearby residential area, which, in fact, he was. But when they saw the two fabric bags in his hands, everyone gasped. Even the well-trained Special Forces agents nearby couldn't help but glance over at the bags, all of them visibly stunned. Zhengyang was completely bewildered. I'm just here to deposit some change. Is this really such a big deal? He nervously asked. Are you planning to arrest me and execute me on the spot? Chapter 2, The Million-Fold Devaluation of the New World. The middle-aged man in a suit clearly didn't understand Zhengyang's words, assuming it was a joke. He forced a smile, slightly bowed, and whispered to Zhengyang, of course not, please come with me, let us talk in the car. This is not a place for conversation. The area around them was already completely surrounded, and the curious onlookers could no longer see Zhengyang. Black-clad security personnel had effectively blocked the view. Although Zhengyang didn't understand what was going on, he could tell the situation wasn't ordinary. It seemed like he had no choice but to go with them. Clearing his throat, Zhengyang grabbed his two bags and stood up, following the bank manager outside. Surrounded by a ring of security, they were escorted out of the bank and onto an armored transport vehicle. Zhengyang felt like he was floating on air, but as they stepped outside, something felt off. The large sign at the nearby convenience store prominently displayed, Menu Pure Milk, special price today, 40 Mao. 40 Mao? Zhengyang thought. What is that unit of measurement? Not far away, a young man was yelling into his phone, I've been dating you for 3 years, and I've spent at least 3 cents on you. You just leave me like this and don't even pay me back. Are you even human? Zhengyang was stunned. 3 years, 3 cents. Was this person serious? Nearby, someone else was excitedly talking on the phone. Mom, my bonus came in this month, it's 5 cents. I'm sending you for cents now. Don't praise me so much though, I'll only be proud when I earn a dime a month. Then I'll buy you a big house. Xinhua almost wanted to take off his slippers and smack this guy. You're so filial. Do you treat your mom like it's Sunday every day? And if you can buy a big house with 10 cents, then what can I do with my bags of money? He shivered. Suddenly, he remembered the electronic voice in his mind when he woke up earlier. Global prices have been reduced by 1 million times. Only your total assets remain unchanged, totaling 2.15379 million. New world. A few keywords flashed in his mind, and an idea, almost more of an instinct, began to form. Hello, I am Chen Haohai, the manager of Guangming Bank's branch in Santai City, said the middle-aged man in the suit, sitting across from Xinhua, rubbing his hands and smiling. Manager Chen, that suit looks great, custom made, right? How much was it? Xinhua asked casually. Having been a small business owner before, he recognized the bank's name. Guangming Bank had been ranked in the top 12 by assets in Yunhai province last year, so he had paid attention to it. This suit. It's worth about 2 cents. It's just for show, Chen Haohai answered with a smile, although he had no idea why Xinhua asked such a question. Xinhua guessed what the answer would be, but hearing it confirmed his suspicion. It was both absurd and exciting. His heart raced as he thought, the global price drop really happened. And my 2.15 million yuan remained unchanged. He quickly pulled out his phone and opened a search engine. He didn't even need to type. The information he wanted was already on the screen. Hot search number 1, Chinese tycoon Ma X, with a total asset of 380,000 yuan, ranked 7th among the global billionaires. 380,000 yuan, and he was ranked 7th? Xinhua couldn't help but laugh. He didn't know why, but he couldn't stop. He took out some 5 yuan and 10 yuan bills from one of his bags and froze. Why hadn't he noticed this earlier? The bills were completely different from what he had seen before. They were thicker, with a much better texture, and there was even gold thread inside. He quickly grabbed a 5 yuan note, tugging at it with his fingers, but it wouldn't tear. He bit it and managed to tear it open. Inside, he saw the gold thread and realized it was really gold. Chen Haohai watched in stunned silence. His hand was outstretched, wanting to stop Xinhua, but then he remembered that it wasn't his money and could only watch in agitation as Xinhua tore the note. What kind of family produces such a wasteful heir? I've seen rich kids squander money, but this is on another level. Those 5 and 10 yuan bills are only allowed for people with a certain level of assets to hold. Chen Haohai was horrified as he saw the crumpled bills stuffed into a greasy cloth bag, secured with rubber bands, and stained with oil. God! Soon, their vehicle stopped, and they arrived at the Guangming Bank headquarters. Escorted by security, they entered the VIP lounge, where a sweet scent filled the air. A beautiful woman in professional attire stood waiting, with long, snowy white legs and a tight skirt that made heads turn. She was holding a semi-transparent folder, seemingly hiding her appearance just enough to make one curious. Her makeup was exquisite, and her smile enchanting. She was definitely the type of woman who would make a homebuyer-s heart race. Mr. Xu, this is our VIP department's assistant, Lin Yurong. She will personally handle your business with the highest priority through our back-end system, Chen Haohai announced with pride. Hello, Mr. Xu, I'm Lin Yurong. Please let me know if you have any requests, she said sweetly with a slight bow, her figure accentuating every curve. Xinhua immediately handed the 2 cloth bags to her, saying, I just want to deposit this money into my account. Lin Yurong didn't show any sign of disdain for the greasy bags. In fact, she froze for a moment before tremblingly taking them, her eyes widening as she counted out the money. After counting it 3 times, she finally deposited the money into the system. Xinhua waited patiently, watching as Chen Haohai continued to butter him up. He suspected that the bank's sudden extravagance wasn't just for depositing his money, there was something more they were after. Was Chen Haohai trying to get me to lock the money in a fixed deposit? He couldn't shake the feeling that the old fox had some ulterior motive. Chapter 3, Stop talking nonsense, just lick it. At this moment, Xinhua's phone rang. The mobile payment app, Jifubao, now had a bill checking function, which allowed users to see their bank card balance at any time. Many people had activated this function to keep track of their finances, especially since modern people tend to spend freely and often need a little assistant to remind them of their balance. Jifubao reminds you, Guangming Bank's savings card received 8,268 renminbi on August 17, 2020, at 14:32. You currently have 4 linked bank cards, with a total balance of 664,188 renminbi and 85 cents. Upon hearing this prompt, Zhengyang immediately frowned and quickly pulled out his phone, muttering, "Why so little?" He clearly remembered that when the system appeared earlier, it had stated that his total assets were 2.15 million renminbi. That was the money from selling his house. Where did this 664,000 come from? Opening Jifubao, he saw a new card listed in the system. The 650,000 came from this new card, called the System Bank Low Key Card. At this moment, the system's transparent interface appeared in his mind. In order to prevent their host from spending recklessly, the remaining 1.5 million renminbi has been deposited into the system bank in a current account, with an annual interest rate of 10%. Monthly earnings are transferred to the low key card. Zhengyang quickly calculated wasn't that an income of 12,500 renminbi per month. However, Zhengyang failed to notice that there were 2 other people in the room. As Zhengyang was checking his balance, Chen Haohai was completely stunned. When he heard Zhengyang say, "Why so little?" he felt his head explode. 664,000 renminbi? That's not 66 yuan. Guangming Bank had ranked among the top 12 banks in Yunhai province last year, with a total market value of only 90,000 renminbi. This was the market value of an entire enterprise, but what Zhengyang was talking about was personal assets 664,000 renminbi. And how much did China's richest person have in assets? Although in China, truly wealthy and powerful families never appear on public lists, and their wealth surpasses even the richest individuals, Chen Haohai never expected to encounter such a person. And Zhengyang was saying this was so little. Is this even human? Who was this person? Chen Haohai forgot who he was at that moment. His only thought was, lick. No matter what, even if he had to call him Dad, he was determined to hold onto this big leg. On the other side, Lin Yurong's mind had gone completely blank. She was truly in a state of total disbelief. All right, I won't take up any more of your time. I'll leave now, Zhengyang said after checking his balance. He wasn't planning on staying much longer and stood up to leave. Chen Haohai wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Despite his experience, he was still quite nervous. He solemnly took out a business card and bowed as he handed it over. "Mr. Xu, please, grant me the honor of hosting you for a meal." "A meal?" Zhengyang raised an eyebrow, glancing at the business card that read, Chairman of Guangming Group. He felt a slight stir in his heart. While Chen Haohai was clearly an old fox, Zhengyang wasn't opposed to dealing with them now, so he courteously accepted the card. "Let me find some time," he replied. Seeing that Zhengyang took the card, this was as good as agreeing. Chen Haohai was so excited he almost couldn't control his trembling heart. He eagerly said, "Mr. Xu, if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to let me know. I will do my best to assist you." The words anything, must, and will definitely were stressed heavily, showing just how low he was willing to bow. Zhengyang smiled faintly. This was the nature of businessmen. Ordinary people always thought they were high and mighty, but you would never guess how humble they could become behind the scenes. Okay. With that simple word, Zhengyang casually walked out of the VIP room. As Zhengyang walked away, Chen Haohai's legs trembled uncontrollably. He slowly sank back into the sofa and glanced at the still dazed Lin Yurong. Remember, today's events cannot be disclosed to anyone. If you dare to leak the number I mentioned earlier, you should know what the consequences will be. Chen Haohai's imposing demeanor burst forth, causing Lin Yurong to shudder in fear. I want tea, she stammered. Chen Haohai took a deep breath and immediately grabbed his phone, dialing a number. 5 p.m. Yunhai Fitness Club. Zhengyang sat in the lounge area, idly flipping through a magazine. His mind, however, was still focused on the events that had just occurred at the bank. Suddenly, Zhengyang slapped his thigh and cursed under his breath, "Old fox." He had unknowingly fallen into a trap set by Chen Haohai. The reason why Chen Haohai personally picked him up, took him to the VIP room, and didn't push any other deposit options was all part of his plan. He wanted to hear the Jifubao notification when that money was transferred into his account. Everything seemed to be calculated by Chen Haohai. What he was targeting wasn't the 8,000 renminbi Xu Xingyang was depositing, but rather his entire fortune. Xu Xingyang now understood why. Chen Haohai wasn't acting alone. He had 3 close friends, known as the 4 heroes of Yunhai, who were leaders in the real estate, automotive, and entertainment industries in Yunhai province. However, 2 of them had recently gotten into big trouble, with a serious rupture in their financial chain. It seemed that Chen Haohai, as their backup, wasn't doing too well either. Now that Xu Xingyang understood all this, he smiled faintly. Chen Haohai's move had been blind, but it hadn't harmed him. Moreover, now that Chen Haohai had figured him out, the only thing left for him to do was to curry favor with him and try to hold onto this big leg. Even if he gained the courage to calculate his wealth, he wouldn't dare to scheme against Xu Xingyang. Let us go. Just as he was thinking this, a beautiful figure appeared in front of him and spoke. Standing in front of him was an incredibly stunning girl wearing tight athletic gear that accentuated her curves, especially her hips, which were perfectly shaped. She carried a gym bag, and her long, sculpted legs seemed to be molded to perfection in her leggings. Her beautiful black hair was tied back into a ponytail, and as she lifted her arms, it highlighted her flawless figure. This was his roommate, Cheng Baola. Chapter 4, Will your clothes bulge when you fart? Bang! Cheng Baola tied her hair up, bit her soft lips and slapped Xu Xingyang on the head. If you keep looking, I'll dig your eyes out. Cheng Baola graduated not long ago and is currently working as a fitness coach here. Thanks to her, Xu Xingyang, who is penniless, often comes here to train for free. He doesn't even have a gym card and has been using it for free for more than a month. Xu Xingyang smiled slightly and walked towards the elevator with her. In the elevator, Cheng Baola pouted unhappily and kicked the guardrail in the elevator lightly with her foot. What's wrong with you? Xu Xingyang asked doubtfully. It's still that little thing about sales. Originally, the order yesterday should have been mine, but they played tricks and gave the membership to Jiang Lily. I lost a full 800 cents in commission. What a bunch of bitches. Cheng Baola clenched her fists and wrinkled her nose, a fierce light flashing in her beautiful eyes. Xu Xingyang was speechless. Cheng Baola was much better than Jiang Lily not only in figure and appearance but also in professional knowledge. However, there were too many shady operations in their gym. It was obvious that there was something fishy going on between the male manager of the fitness department and Jiang Lily. In addition, Cheng Baola hated those uncles who wanted to take advantage of her the most, so her performance had always been poor, and she often talked about these things with Xu Xingyang. Xu Xingyang's heart moved. Although they were roommates these days, Cheng Baora's cheerfulness, sunshine and positivity deeply infected Xu Xingyang. Seeing that he was depressed all day, I took him out for exercise. Seeing that he had no money, I cooked more every time. Seeing that he was drinking all day, I replaced the wine with water and put a note on it saying, "Water doesn't hurt the liver and saves money." I decided to sell their house, make a comeback and get out of the haze in my heart, and Cheng Baola played a great role in it. When I have money, I will definitely buy your class and make you the best performer. Xu Xingyang said with a smile. Cheng Baola rolled her eyes at him. I'd really appreciate it if you could take the time to cut your hair. You idiot-looking hair. Xu Xingyang smiled helplessly. His hair was indeed a bit long, with a few strands occasionally flying in the air, making him look untidy. When he walked with such a beautiful woman, he often received strange looks. Cheng Baoer is a good cook, so Xu Xingyang plans to take her to the supermarket and buy some good food for her to cook for him when she gets home. But before that, Sung Bora had to rent a very expensive dress to attend an important event in 2 days. This store is not located in a shopping mall, but has an independent 2-story frontage. It is located in the city center with an excellent location, but it is deserted. The reason is that the clothes here are too high-end and too expensive. Because his brand is called Donna Karan. In addition to selling clothes, this place also has a leasing business. Of course, the rent is not cheap. Magnificent decorations, sparkling windows, noble and elegant clothing, jaw-dropping prices. There is a black and hollowed-out long dress in the window, which is noble and elegant yet simple and generous. Its price tag is clear 1 cent 3 cents. Of course, this is just the ordinary quality of the store, high-end and customization are not displayed here. Cheng Baoer also stood in front of the store for a long time, looked up at the door, then gritted her teeth and walked in. Fortunately, the salesgirl had good professional qualities. She smiled warmly and bowed to welcome the two of them. My beautiful lady, you have a great figure. All the clothes in our store are suitable for you. What style do you like? The shopping guide looked at Cheng Baolar sincerely. As a woman, she had to say that she dreamed of having a perfect figure like Cheng Baolar. Porter's pretty face turned slightly red and she felt a little embarrassed. I'm sorry, sister, I just want to rent some clothes. Okay, all the clothes here are on the rental list, you can choose whatever you want. The salesgirl did not look down on her because of this. She smiled sweetly, extended her hand and led the two of them to turn a corner. Cheng Baolar nodded and reached out to touch her clothes shyly. After watching for a while, a woman's voice suddenly came. Porter? Isn't this Porter? Why are you here? As they were talking, a woman and a man came out from behind the display case. The person who was speaking was a woman wearing tight leather pants. Her figure was far worse than Cheng Baolar's, and she had carrot legs, heavy makeup, and a chin so pointed that it could kill you. She was followed by a greasy fat man with a beer belly, but a Maserati car key was hanging on his waist. As soon as the fat man saw Cheng Baolar, his eyes immediately shot out greedy eyes like a skinny wolf approaching meat, and his eyeballs turned green. She's so damn beautiful, and most importantly, her figure is so mouth-watering. If I could have a good time with her, it would be worth it even if I had to shorten my life by 3 years. Cheng Baolar's face sank, she was a little unhappy, and said lightly. Sonia. Hey, Porter, why don't you look so good? You look much worse than when you were in college. Songjia said this with a fake smile, and turned to the fat man with a beer belly and said. My dear, let me introduce you to her. She was the school beauty when we were in school. She was an absolute goddess, pure and innocent, born noble. She rejected at least 18 rich boys. We are all proud of Porter. She is so strong-willed. How rare. Hey. By the way, Porter, I just heard that you seem to be here to rent clothes. She asked in mock surprise. Cheng Baolar took a deep breath and didn't answer. It's for Yaya's birthday party in 2 days. Actually, if we don't have money, we won't pretend. There's no need, Porter. You should stick to your eccentricity. What's wrong with wearing ordinary clothes? We are naturally beautiful. Besides, if you wear rented clothes, the tags will show through, which is really ugly, right, Porter? Songjia said with a teasing look on her face. Songjia spoke in a sarcastic tone, which made Cheng Baolar bite her red lips tightly. Her beautiful eyes were misty. After hesitating for a long time, she stomped her feet lightly and prepared to pull Xinhua away. Since they saw them, even though she wanted to go, she couldn't go, otherwise they would really embarrass her. However, he was pinned to the ground by Xinhua, who was stronger. Xinhua looked at Songjia for a while and asked doubtfully. Do your leather pants have bulges when you fart? Chapter 5, from now on, I have the final say. Puff. A salesgirl who was drinking water at the checkout counter spat out a mouthful of tea on her computer. She bit her lip tightly and hurriedly wiped the computer. Cheng Baolar almost laughed out loud. Songjia's face turned cold and she stared at Xinhua viciously. Just now she was still sarcastic and didn't dare to break up, but Cheng Baolar was the one who would suffer this kind of bullying the most. Cheng Baolar was not good at talking, and they had bullied her like this before, and it never failed. But today, this kind of trash showed up. Where the hell did you come from, you poor loser? Do you have the right to speak here? Cheng Baolar, what's wrong? You don't dare to speak. You don't want so many rich second generations, and you are too picky, but now you choose such a bastard as your boyfriend. You are so hungry that you don't choose your food. You won't just find a beggar on the street and ride on him. You really played a good hand. Songjia scolded Xinhua and then asked Cheng Baolar in a cold voice. She felt an indescribable excitement in her heart. Cheng Baolar, you love to pretend, don't you even look down on the school hunk with a prominent family background? You've pretended too much, right? Now you've become a piece of scum, no one wants you. You are such a bitch. You deserve it. She gritted her teeth secretly. Do I need you to give me a share when I speak? Xinhua asked back. That's right, you need me to give you a share of your words, just because I am richer than you, just because I come here to buy clothes and you come here to rent clothes, this is the difference, remember it. Songjia stepped forward, gritting her teeth, and angrily shouted with her eyes wide open. Since the relationship was completely broken, there was no need for her to pretend anymore. Let's go. Cheng Baola pulled Xu Xingyang's hand and whispered. But when Fatty Sun saw her taking the initiative to pull Xu Xingyang's hand, he was immediately a little unhappy and jealous. He immediately pushed Song Jiao away and laughed. Miss Cheng Baola, right? Hee, nice to meet you. I've heard of your reputation for a long time. I wonder if you can give me a chance. Which dress do you want? I'll buy it for you after you've picked it out. It'll be my gift to you. What do you think? The fat man smiled flatteringly, licked his tongue inadvertently, and his eyes wandered over Cheng Baolar. Sorry, I don't need it. Cheng Baolar frowned and shook her head lightly. Don't be so formal. I mean what I say. You must be attending an important banquet in a few days. It would be bad to lose face if you go, but it would definitely not be appropriate not to go. What do you think? This fat guy still had some brains, and he saw through Cheng Baolar's thoughts with a smile. Cheng Baolar hesitated for a moment. She was not considering whether to accept the fat man's kindness, but what the fat man said was right. She offended too many people when she was in college. After graduation, she ran into obstacles everywhere and couldn't do anything she wanted to do. She had no choice but to become a fitness coach. For this birthday party, she wanted to ask her best friend to reconcile the relationships between those people for her, even if it would be just to apologize. But when she hesitated, Song Jiao exploded. No. Who asked you to buy clothes for her? You said you would only buy clothes for me, why did you buy one for her as well? I don't agree. You can only buy clothes for me, not for her. Song Jiao pulled the fat man's arm and said half coquettishly and half complainingly. Damn Cheng Baola, this ticklish fox is tickling again. He has bewitched this fat guy again. My dear, you don't know the taste of the campus beauty of Qingdao University. It's useless for you to buy it. She won't know your feelings. She didn't even want a car that the campus honk bought for her. Fatty Sun looked at Song Jiao with disgust. He was tired of this bitch a long time ago, and what's more, when he saw Cheng Baola, Song Jiao was simply trash. He shook off Song Jiao's hand without leaving a trace, not wanting Cheng Baola to misunderstand, and then he said with a fake smile. We are all schoolmates. If I give you clothes, I should also give her clothes. We are all equal. The Song family immediately looked at Cheng Baola viciously. She could see that Fatty Sun was completely bewitched by this bitch, and there was no way she could stop him. Cheng Baola, you bitch, if you dare to accept Brother Sun's clothes, I will not forgive you. She yelled hysterically. I'm not going to accept it. Cheng Baola said angrily. Xu Xingyang, however, had a gloomy expression and kept calling the woman slut and slut. It seemed that this woman really didn't know her own last name. Thinking of this, Xu Xingyang smiled coldly and looked at the clothes in the store again. When Song Jiao saw him looking around, she glared and yelled. Do you have any shame? Even Cheng Baolar didn't accept it. Where did you come from? What are you looking at? Are you trying to help her accept it? What are you dreaming of? Do you really think Brother Sun will buy you clothes? Are you an idiot? Stop arguing. This brother is right. Pick one. It doesn't matter if you pick two. He. The fat man said with a smile. Song Jiao was almost crying. Brother Sun, tilde, why are you like this? You said you only love me, and she doesn't even care about you, so why are you still clinging to her? What made her most jealous was not that Fatty Sun had fallen in love with someone else. But it was Cheng Baola, that vixen, who had a sour face the whole time and kept people at a distance. Yet, Brother Sun kept clinging to her like a possessed person. This was what made her most jealous, because Cheng Baolar easily obtained the status that she had barely gotten after trying her best. But at this time Xu Xingyang asked coldly to the front desk. Have they paid yet? Not yet. Okay, from now on, I have the final say on all the clothes in this store. You are not allowed to sell them. Chapter 6, This is what a rich person is. Xu Xingyang gently pointed at the clothes in the room with his finger. What? The shopping guides at the front desk were all confused. The air was stagnant for a few seconds. Song Jiao suddenly burst into a shrill laugh, as if she had heard the best joke in the world. Cheng Baola, you have finally come to this day. I thought you found some loser, but it turns out you found a psychopath. What on earth has stimulated him to have such delusions? You said you don't want to sell it, so then don't sell it. Who do you think you are? Har 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 har. Are you immersed in your own spiritual world, imagining yourself as a domineering president? Buying all their clothes. How pitiful, can you wake up? Song Jia's face was full of pride and a sense of extreme relief. It's what Cheng Baolar deserves. She found a lunatic. God is really merciful. No need to fantasize, because I did buy them. Xinhua looked at her with a look that said, idiot. After he said this, Song Jia laughed even harder. Even the receptionist and the shopping guide were trying to hold back their smiles. In their opinion, Xinhua was indeed going crazy. Although there aren't many clothes in this store, they are all extremely expensive. Buying all of them will cost you at least $4. At this time, Xinhua took out an old wallet. Just seeing this wallet, Song Jia almost laughed to death. This wallet is online and open. Stupid guy, if there's more than 5 cents in your wallet, my name will be written backwards. Song Jia laughed wildly and said that she was having a great time today, the best she had ever felt. Cheng Baola was biting her lips in grievance, her beautiful eyes were misty. It was embarrassing, it was not like she had never been embarrassed before. It was estimated that Xinhua, this big fool, had been locked up at home for too long, so she would just let him go crazy. Anyway, she had no one to be embarrassed with. Xinhua smiled coldly, how you write your name has nothing to do with me. The next second, the air was still. Song Jia's laughter stopped abruptly, like a duck whose throat was suddenly strangled. Because Xinhua casually opened his wallet. 2 coins slipped out from the cracked surface and hit the smooth table with a clanking sound. Xinhua casually slapped it on the table. This slap made almost everyone around shudder, as if it was a slap on their heart. It was more like a slap in their face. As for the crumpled change in the wallet, even though Xinhua didn't take it out, they all took a rough look at it. There are 2 5 yuan notes, a 10 yuan note, and I think there is also a 50 yuan note. Gulp. Tilde. A clear sound of swallowing saliva was heard. It's Fatty Son S. This is not a wallet, it's a walking bank. My Maserati only costs $1, and with this wallet I can buy 70 Maseratis. And this guy actually carried them on his body like this. In such a shabby wallet. If this isn't a blatant display of wealth, what is it? Look at that $50 bill again. He has twisted it into a mess. The gold thread is wrinkled. You know, the 50 yuan note is more than just money. How many wealthy people seal up and collect money of this denomination? It is not only money, but also a work of art and a symbol of status. Because if their wealth value does not reach a certain level, China Construction Bank will not distribute money of this denomination. Xinhua randomly took out a 5 yuan note and threw it to the front desk, saying calmly, "Is that enough?" Enough. The receptionist was so frightened that he stuttered. Apart from the 2 coins, this was the smallest denomination in his wallet. It turns out everything she said was true. It turns out he wasn't fantasizing at all. Xinhua casually stuffed the 2 coins back into his wallet and closed it with a snap. It immediately caused the people around to feel dizzy. He just casually put a coin back into his wallet. What if it falls out again next time? The salesgirl looked at Xinhua with completely different eyes. His tattered wallet is no longer a tattered wallet, it represents a kind of inhumane arrogance. His messy hair with 3 hairs floating in the air is no longer a messy hair. It's a kind of unrestrained and unrestrained style. His ordinary clothes from street stalls are returned to nature. The way he casually stuffed a pile of money into his trouser pocket was a kind of luxurious low-key. This is the super rich man. This is the real rich man. This is impossible. How is this possible? Song Jia, who was standing by, had already had her eyes blazing with anger. She was furious. They will not make mistakes, because there are no counterfeit coins in this era. All money is threaded with data gold threads, and when spending, there is real name authentication and identification, so it is impossible for it to be fake. But why is he so rich? Why is Cheng Baola so lucky? Moreover, Xinhua couldn't have only so much money. Who would carry all his wealth with him? Even if someone stole it and couldn't use it, they would be bankrupt in an instant if they left it in the wilderness. This only showed that he was rich beyond their imagination. At this time, Xinhua turned to look at Song Jia and asked with a smile, "Are you happy today?" "Anyway, I am very happy, because as long as our Paula is happy, I am happy," and my money is spent only for her happiness," Xu Xingyang said with a smile. Cheng Baolar naturally would not take it seriously because they were not in a romantic relationship. She knew that Xu Xingyang was deliberately trying to make her angry. But why did Xu Xingyang have so much money? Cheng Baolar was completely dumbfounded. She blinked her big eyes and tried to find a way to verify whether she was dreaming or not. This sentence was the last straw that broke the camel's back for Song Jia. She felt her blood pressure rise instantly. She was almost unable to breathe and was shaking all over. What she envied the most was Cheng Baolar's beauty and everything she had. Today, she finally discovered that Cheng Baolar had found a fool, a lunatic, and was here to rent clothes, but she had the support of Fatty Sun, who bought her expensive clothes. She had never felt so good before. But she never expected that in the blink of an eye, Cheng Baolar's boyfriend would be such a rich man that he casually took out a small denomination bill and bought all the clothes in the store, just to make Baolar happy. At this moment, a beautiful woman wearing an elegant long dress and crystal high heels walked in from outside the door, completely breaking the atmosphere here. "Boss!" All the salesgirls bowed and shouted respectfully. Chapter 7, Almost Reaching the Top. Fatty Sun and Song Jia had not yet gotten over Xu Xingyang's shadow, and they were both shocked when they saw this man. "This is the boss of Donna Ka Hong. She has appeared on the cover of fashion magazines and everyone knows her. She is the general operator of Donna Ka Hongyan province, and is also the general distributor of at least 3 top brands, covering women's wear, men's wear, and luxury goods. She is an absolute queen of the industry. Almost half of the high-end manufacturers in Yunnan province depend on it for their survival." The female boss nodded, then her eyes stayed on Xu Xingyang, revealing a noble and gentle smile, and stretched out her jade hand and said, "Mr. Xu, my name is Tang Ying. I just came back from Brother Chen's place. I didn't expect to have the honor of meeting you. I wonder if you would be so kind as to go upstairs and sit with me." Xu Xingyang was stunned. "Brother Chen? Chen Haohai? Good." Tang Ying smiled and nodded. Xu Xingyang frowned slightly. What's wrong with Chen Haohai? If he really wants to cling to his thigh, then he is a little loose-lipped. How can he trust such a person? However, he also realized that Chen Haohai probably didn't tell her too much details, at least he didn't mention the number of 660,000, otherwise she wouldn't have been so calm. After all, even Chen Haohai would tremble when he saw her. I'm afraid this woman has a very close relationship with Chen Haohai. I guess this woman didn't come here by chance, but came here specially. Since he is so enthusiastic, it might be a good idea to get in touch with him. Okay. Xu Xingyang nodded. However, the casual conversation between the two once again made Song Jia and Fatty Sun feel like they were struck by lightning. Tang Ying actually took the initiative to ask Xu Xingyang for favor? And mentioned Chen Haohai. Who on earth is this Xu Xingyang? At this time, Tang Ying saw Fatty Sun and Song Jia standing by and said with a smile, "Are these two also friends of Mr. Xu?" Upon hearing this, Song Jia, who reacted the fastest, quickly woke up from the blow just now. Her eyes turned green. Tang Ying actually mistook them for friends. What a good opportunity. If I could get to know Tang Ying, I could wear any of Tang Narker's red clothes in the future and look awesome. Although she had offended Xu Xingyang just now, she probably wouldn't turn against him in front of Tang Ying. I can use him to get promoted. She quickly grabbed Cheng Baolar's arm. Yes. Mr. Xu's girlfriend and I are classmates, and we are also good friends. We can talk about anything. Fatty Sun was also overwhelmed for a moment and said, "Mr. Xu and I are good friends." In his opinion, one should not hit a smiling person. Even if Xu Xingyang doesn't like him, he won't turn his face away and refuse to show his respect on the spot. Oh? We're still classmates? Tang Ying asked Cheng Baolar with a smile. It looks like this girl is Xu Xingyang's girlfriend. She is indeed very pretty. To please her is to please Xu Xingyang. Seeing her ask this, Cheng Baolar hesitated. She didn't want to admit it, but they were indeed classmates. Song Jia gritted her teeth in her heart at this moment. You slut, why don't you admit it quickly? Haven't you taken advantage of me enough? Are you still unwilling to give me some? I must intervene, get to know Tang Ying first, and then slowly find a way to snatch your boyfriend away. She could see from Polar and Xu Xingyang's behavior that they had never had any intimate contact. She knew how to seduce people. Men are animals with lower bodies. If you give them some sweet treats, they will take the bait obediently. Judging from Pauler's character, she won't let any man touch her easily, so I have to strike first. However, she looked at Cheng Baola with pleading eyes, meaning that Cheng Baola should admit that they were good friends. In Tang Ying's eyes, Cheng Baola didn't want to cause trouble for herself, so she agreed and immediately said to the clerk, "Prepare 5 30% off Supreme cards and 2 of my business cards." "Okay, boss." Song Jia and the other person were so excited that they were shaking all over. 70% off card. There was also a business card, which meant they could ask Tang Ying for help in the future. This is simply a step to heaven. She was so excited that she couldn't close her mouth and kept holding on to Cheng Baola tightly, wishing she could get into Cheng Baola's body and replace her to take away everything from her. "Since you are all Mr. Shu's friends, please go upstairs for tea. I will arrange a tea party later," etc. At this time, Zhengyang waved his hand to interrupt her, and his expression changed from being polite at the beginning to being indifferent. Tang Ying was stunned. "If you want to get to know them, I have no objection, but don't use my name, I don't know them at all. On the contrary, when we were buying clothes here just now, they were sneering and yelling. They are indeed classmates of my girlfriend, but have you ever seen a classmate calling someone a bitch and a slut? Did you get to where you are today by associating with such scum? Then we will not accompany you any more. Please send all your clothes home. Goodbye." Chapter 8, Photographing the Horser's Legs. After Zhengyang finished speaking, he pulled Cheng Baola up and was about to leave. Tang Ying broke out in a cold sweat. "Holy shit! Did you hit their horse's leg?" Tang Ying's performance was actually all intended to leave a good impression on Zhengyang. Normally, she was very good at observing people's words and expressions. However, today, when she faced Zhengyang, she felt a little flustered and actually made a mistake. Her pretty face turned pale immediately, and she explained hurriedly, "Mr. Shu, I'm so sorry. I didn't know right from wrong just now. Tang Ying apologizes to you." Tang Ying immediately moved in front of Zhengyang, put her hands on her waist, and bowed to apologize. She is elegant yet weak, and looks so pitiful that it is hard to get angry at her. It is no wonder that she has managed to get to where she is today with such means. Seeing Zhengyang stop, she turned to look at the 2 black-clad bodyguards behind her and said coldly, "Throw these 2 people out." At this moment, her face changed instantly from gentle and noble to ruthless and domineering. She had been made so embarrassed for a long time. These 2 trash were actually acting and wanted to use Zhengyang to get to the top. She almost got caught. It's so embarrassing to tell anyone about this. Song Jia was almost going crazy. She didn't expect Zhengyang would dare to expose them in person. Just a little bit more and Tang Ying's business card and 70% off Supreme card will be in hand. Wealth and glory vanish in the blink of an eye. The 2 bodyguards didn't care about that. They grabbed the 2 women's shoulders, one on each side, and made them scream in pain. Song Jia struggled and shouted, "Even if I'm not his friend, my boyfriend is still your partner. How dare you do this to us?" At this time, Fatty Sun had already vaguely sensed that something was wrong. He was much more rational than Song Jia and understood more. From the moment he said that sentence, he didn't dare to say anything because he vaguely felt that it would not be so easy to take advantage of Zhengyang. Now when he heard Song Jia say this, his brain buzzed. "Partner? Which one?" Tang Ying asked coldly. Seeing her ask, Song Jia perked up again and pointed at Fatty Sun. My boyfriend's family owns a large local enterprise in Santai City, Xinhua Weaving. It's your big manufacturer, right?" Tang Ying said coldly. "Xinhua Weaving, right? I've got this in mind. From today on, Xinhua Weaving will no longer have any cooperative relationship with my brand." After Tang Ying finished speaking, she no longer had any interest in talking to them. She smiled apologetically at Zhengyang and made a pleased gesture towards the upstairs with a pleading look. "Don't hit a smiling person," so Zhengyang reluctantly pulled Cheng Baola, who had been petrified for half a day, and followed her to the stairs to the 2nd floor. How can this be? Isn't your family a big company? Aren't 70% of Hannah's men's clothing and 40% of Donna's clothing supplied by your family? How dare she?" Song Jia was completely stunned. She thought that what Fatty Sun boasted about was true. How could Tang Ying dare to offend such a big manufacturer? She had to save face today and get a Supreme card. But both of them had been pushed out by the ruthless bodyguards. Fatty Sun was limp as mud, muttering for a long time that he was in trouble. When he heard Song Jia mumbling there, his eyes suddenly turned red and he was furious. He jumped up and grabbed Song Jia's hair. "Fuck you. I'll let your rotten mouth cause me trouble everywhere. You bitch." Fatty Sun was so angry that his head was about to explode. He grabbed Song Jia's hair, knocked her to the ground, and kicked her hard in the mouth. Song Jia let out a heart-wrenching scream. "Do you know how much damage you have caused to my family? You scumbag, you always brag with your broken mouth. I bought you a piece of clothing and you think you are superior. I will kick you to death." A few kicks with his big leather shoes tore the corner of Song Jia's mouth. Song Jia's face was covered in blood and she screamed in pain. The two bodyguards were fed up and said coldly, "Get away from me." Fatty Sun had had enough of beating the two men, and ignoring the two men's screams, he wiped his hair, spat fiercely, and drove away, leaving Song Jia crawling and wailing. Soon, perhaps someone called the police, and a few people came quickly, negotiated with the bodyguard, and then quietly took Song Jia away. Chapter 9. Are you here to experience life? The furnishings on the second floor are very elegant, with miniature landscapes of small bridges and flowing water, and intoxicating aromas filling the entire room. Cheng Baola was in a daze the whole time. As soon as she sat down, she pinched Xinhua hard and looked at him with resentment in her eyes. But now is obviously not the time to care about it. In this environment, facing a person like Tang Ying, the only way for her to relieve her nervousness is to hold Xinhua's hand tightly. "Mr. Xu, your girlfriend is so beautiful that there is nothing to fault with her. I have been doing business for so many years and have seen too many celebrity beauties. After removing the filters, they are not even a fraction as beautiful as your girlfriend." As soon as Tang Ying sat down, she looked at Cheng Baola sincerely and praised her. Such corny words sounded so sincere and natural when she said them, without any affectation. "Thank you for the compliment." Cheng Baola blushed and smiled awkwardly. "What's your name?" "Cheng Baola, you can just call me Baolane." "Well, just call me Sister Tang." Tang Ying leaned over and patted Cheng Baola's hand affectionately with a warm smile on her face. She then turned to Xinhua and said apologetically, "Mr. Xu, what happened just now was really my fault. Please don't be angry with me." Tang Ying came up and licked Cheng Baola first, and then said this, who could still be angry. Xinhua smiled slightly. "Nothing, by the way, help her find a suitable dress." "Okay. Just find a professional like me to help people choose clothes." Tang Ying smiled from ear to ear, and stood up with Cheng Baolane. She was worried that she would not have the opportunity to get acquainted with Xinhua, and Cheng Baola was definitely the best breakthrough. Xinhua thought so too, so he gave Tang Ying such an opportunity. Cheng Baola wanted to say something but stopped herself, but she was no match for Tang Ying's enthusiasm. When she was dragged away, she helplessly waved her pink fist at Xinhua. While trying on clothes, Tang Ying became more and more familiar with Cheng Baolane. It must be said that even Cheng Baola could not resist this kind of woman who made people feel like spring breeze. Soon she was no longer nervous and started to call her sister Tang. When she learned that Cheng Baola was going to attend a birthday dinner 2 days later, she immediately said that she would give her a big gift on that occasion, and it would be useless no matter how Cheng Baola refused. But Sung Bora was sober. All of this relationship belongs to Xinhua. It's okay for me to be mistaken for Xinhua's girlfriend, but I must understand what's going on, and I will settle the score with this guy after I get out. Tang Ying's taste was naturally impeccable, and with Cheng Baola's figure and looks, she could even wear a sack to look charming, so she quickly decided on the clothes. After a few pleasantries, Xinhua left Tang Ying's phone number, but also declined her invitation to a banquet as he was not in the mood to deal with them. Tang Ying did not force him to stay. As for Xinhua's $5, it was just to discuss the two people, so there was no need to really buy all their clothes. So Tang Ying opened a super supreme 20% discount card, deposited all $5 into it, and handed it to Xinhua. This card can be used in all stores of Hana Men's Wear and Cargo, in addition to Donna Card Red. Of course, just for your convenience, you can also call me directly. Okay, we'll be leaving first. See you later. Xinhua nodded, then told her not to send her off, and walked out with Cheng Baola carrying shopping bags. As soon as she turned the corner, Cheng Baola punched Xinhua in the chest. Pretending. You're really good at pretending. For 7 whole months, you turned off the lights when I was using the toilet, saying it was to save electricity. I'm the one who paid the damn electricity bill. You didn't even let me pour out the foot washing water, saying it was for flushing the toilet. I'll beat you to death, I'll strangle you to death. Cheng Baolar used both his hands and feet to beat Xinhua until he screamed in pain, and he turned into the dancing King Nicholas Jiao Sai in the street. After the two of them laughed and joked for a while, Cheng Baolar pulled her hand back angrily. Suddenly she remembered that the guy in front of her was not ordinary. She suddenly felt a little embarrassed. This was the guy that even Tang Ying tried her best to curry favor with, and he had 70 Maseratis in his pocket. Tell me the truth, why are you hiding it from me? Is it fun? Are you here to experience life? Xu Xingyang was also helpless. Who could have thought that one day I would become the son of Tong, chosen by the system? He could only make it up. I did have no money some time ago, but before my business failed, I invested in a few houses and made a fortune after selling them. Impossible. Do you think I'm stupid? What happened to Tang Ying? Cheng Baolar's eyes widened immediately. Could the money from a few houses make Tang Ying do that? There are some things I really can't tell you, but there is one thing you can believe, that is, I really didn't lie to you some time ago. I was really depressed. If it weren't for you, I might have been depressed. Xu Xingyang put away his smile and spoke seriously. He knew his own affairs best. He was so depressed at the time that he almost committed suicide. If it weren't for Cheng Baolar, he might have jumped from the 6th floor after a drinking binge. Cheng Baolar bit her lip and looked at her for a long time before wrinkling her nose. Since she couldn't tell her, she didn't ask. If I didn't know you well, I would really think you were a pervert. You're so rich, yet you're still renting with me and doing something bad. Humph, you old man. After Cheng Baolar finished speaking, she put her hands on her hips and glared at her angrily. Xu Xingyang chuckled and put his arms around her neck. Although they were not as close as boyfriend and girlfriend, Cheng Baolar taught him exercises and they had a lot of physical contact. It was okay for them to play around like brothers occasionally. Let's go to the supermarket and buy something good today. I want to eat the pickled fish you made. Bar. You still want me to cook today? You should cook for me today. When the two were arguing about who would cook today, Cheng Baolar's cell phone suddenly rang. Cheng Baolar picked up the phone and frowned immediately. Chapter 10, The Legendary Fat Sheep Waiting to be Slaughtered. Cheng Baolar picked up the phone and an anxious girl's voice came from the other end of the line. Paula, something happened. Xiaomai had an accident at Xinhua restaurant. What? Cheng Baolar's face suddenly changed. Don't ask anymore, come here quickly, there's blood. The other party hung up right after he finished speaking. Cheng Baolar's face suddenly turned pale, she took a deep breath and looked at Xu Xingyang. What are you still standing there for? Taxi. Xu Xingyang heard the urgency on the phone and simply hailed a taxi. The two of them got in and rushed to Xinhua restaurant. Xiaomai is Cheng Baolar's best friend and often goes to the rental house. Although she is a bit sharp-tongued, she has a good heart. Once, she and Xu Xingyang got drunk and slept on the floor all night. Of course, nothing happened, they just really fell asleep. In the taxi, Cheng Baolar called Xiaomai, but her phone was turned off. After about 20 minutes, the taxi stopped in front of Xinhua restaurant. Xinhua restaurant is considered a mid to high-end restaurant in Santai City, with luxurious decoration and good reputation for its dishes. The two of them pushed the door open and walked in. Before the waiter came up, two girls immediately popped out from the door, scaring Cheng Baolar. Ding 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 ding, tilde tilde har har, Paula, you're here. The two people who jumped out immediately held her arms on the left and right. Sun Li. Cheng Baolar frowned and asked quickly, where's Mai Mai? What? Mai Mai, we are just teasing you. We tricked you into coming here to give you a surprise. We haven't seen each other for so long. We just miss you. Let's get together. Sun Li said with a smile and winked at the other girl. The two of them dragged Cheng Bao to a dining table where three gorgeously dressed girls were already sitting. The most important thing is that the meal on the table was more than half finished, and one of the girls' plate was already piled with crab shells, and two empty bottles of red wine were hidden in the corner. As soon as the girls saw Cheng Baolar coming, they immediately started chattering, pulled her to sit down, and began to ask her about her well-being, completely erasing the deceptive atmosphere of the phone call just now. Xu Xingyang sneered as he watched from the side. This was taking Cheng Baolar as a sucker and asking her to pay the bill. It was obvious that Cheng Baola was very uncomfortable, but she was tongue-tied and silly, and she wanted to leave but was too embarrassed to say so. Hey! Who is this, porter? Is he your boyfriend? Finally, someone saw Xinhua standing aside carrying a bag and a clothing bag, and immediately said in surprise. The attention of the other people was immediately drawn over. Oh, yeah, yes. Cheng Bauer was too lazy to explain and just admitted it casually. Xinhua asked with a smile. Can I sit? The women immediately exchanged glances with each other, and there seemed to be a hint of excitement and pride in their eyes. Of course, sit down, sit down. A girl enthusiastically pulled Xinhua to sit down. As soon as I sat down, a girl exclaimed. Fuck, are these the clothes you bought? As she spoke, she unceremoniously pulled the clothing bag that Xinhua had just put down into her arms and took out the clothes. Donna Carhorn. Fuck, is this true? Cheng Baola, you didn't buy a fake one. As they talked, several people came forward, vying for it, their eyes shining. Xinhua rolled his eyes. It's a fake. Cheng Baola took the initiative to admit it, so that they wouldn't start to complain endlessly. Oh, it's fake. I was wondering why it feels so bad when I touched it. That's right, I think the design is a bit bad. But to be honest, the imitation is pretty good. A few people started chattering again, talking, but none of them wanted to let go. Sun Li even took the clothes and kept trying them on herself. Hey, Paula, it's a cheap piece anyway, why don't you give it to me? I feel like this dress. As Sun Li was speaking, a slightly jealous voice suddenly sounded beside her. Lily, why do you usually wear fake clothes? Sun Li's face froze at the time, and she realized that she had said something wrong, and she quickly smiled awkwardly to cover it up. No, I just feel that this size is perfect for my cousin. She's not very particular, and she's happy with an A-grade piece. Okay, Paula, it's settled. Can you give it to me? I'm sorry, this dress was given to me by my boyfriend. I can't give it away. This time, Cheng Baola frowned and refused directly. This was a genuine product worth more than 3 cents, and she would never give it to anyone else. When Sun Li heard this, her face immediately turned a little ugly. She really liked this dress. It didn't look like a fake product. It was so beautiful. In fact, the other people also had the same idea, but when Cheng Baola said it was C-grade goods, they felt even more embarrassed to ask for it. Wouldn't that expose their usual level? Sun Li is the most shameless person. She actually said that about her cousin. Fortunately, Cheng Baola disagreed, so they felt better. However, Sun Li felt a little uncomfortable. She curled her lips and reluctantly put the clothes back into the bag. Oh my god, your boyfriend just gave you a cheap gift. If you can't afford a brand name gift, why not just buy Uniqlo? Indeed, when I was short of money, I wore Ralph Lauren for a while, but later on, it didn't match the clothes in my closet and I got tired of looking at it, so I donated them all, said a girl shaking her head. Don't mention it. My ex-boyfriend had terrible taste. He only liked St. Lawrence and all the clothes he gave me were from that brand. You said that the brand was decent except for the price, but the style was terrible. It was hard to match with other clothes. It was so ugly. I threw them all away. They were playing the flute, and Xinhua was watching them with a smile. One of the girls winked at the people who were blowing the balloons, and they all stopped immediately. The subject suddenly changed. But since you can even win over our school beauty, you must be rich, bro. That's right. Our Paula was famous in school for being stubborn and unyielding. She was not even impressed by the school hunk who gave her a car. You are definitely no different. They concealed the disdain and contempt in their eyes and began to compliment Xinhua. Xinhua smiled secretly in his heart. Finally, we got to the point. Chapter 11, Fat Sheep Pays the Bill. This is not the first time that Sun Li and her friends have done this. They have used other methods to cheat Cheng Baola twice before, and cheating others is also a common thing for them. They took advantage of the fact that people like Cheng Baola were very sensitive about their reputation, and it always worked. This time after they finished eating at Xinhua restaurant, they found that they had spent too much money. No one was willing to pay, and no one could afford it, so they thought of Cheng Baola. I didn't expect that there was also Xinhua following him. Although Xinhua doesn't seem to be very rich, he must have a credit card or Alipay, right? What do men value most? Of course, its face. Today, no matter whether you have money or not, this order will fall on Xinhua, and by the way, let Zheng Baola make a fool of himself. Several people chattered and praised Xinhua. Xinhua naturally took the bait, his acting skills came into play, and a vague smile hung on the corners of his mouth. Guys, you guys are full, but our porter is still hungry. Cheng Bao wanted to say something to Xinhua, but was stopped by Xinhua with his eyes. Who said we're full? We've only just started. That's right, can we ask you and porter to come over and eat the leftovers? We're just starting to eat here. That's right, you're the only man at this table, so you're the one treating us. We'll just have to take advantage of porter. After the women finished speaking, they looked at Xinhua. No man would not give his girlfriend face at this time, they have to hold on even if they have to. Xinhua laughed, snapped his fingers at the waiter, called for a menu, and said to the few people. You can order whatever you want, order the most expensive wine. Sun Li and the others sneered in their hearts. This is what a man is like. He will become so proud when someone praises you a few times that he loses his mind. If you like to pretend, I'll let you do it today. Several people immediately became interested and ordered a lot, not caring whether they could eat it or not. Oh, by the way, my cousin is nearby. He must have not had dinner yet. Is it okay for me to call him over? A girl was happily eating an Australian abalone and suddenly asked Xinhua. No problem. Xinhua frowned slightly, then relaxed and spoke. In the eyes of several people, his action was just pretending to be cool. This made them even more certain that this guy was definitely a rich guy and that they should trick him to death today. This guy was definitely the same type as Cheng Baola, thin-skinned. It's true that people from the same family tend to stick together. After saying that, the girl happily started making a phone call. Her cousin was also a weirdo, about 16 or 17 years old, with a small mustache. He arrived in less than 10 minutes. Did Xinhua even suspect that he was lurking nearby? Seeing this, the other girls were not willing to be outdone. They all sought Xinhua's opinion and started calling people. They were not their distant aunts or uncles, but they were all their cousins and peers. Sun Li even called a colleague. Xinhua looked at him and sneered. Misfortunes sent by heaven can still be forgiven. Just the people they called together formed 2 more tables, making a total of 3 tables, all of which were served with the highest standards in the restaurant. The whole meal took less than 2 hours. Seeing that the meeting was almost over, Xinhua asked the 2 tables and then stood up with a smile. I'll go to the front desk to settle the bill. Well, go ahead. Sun Li hugged Cheng Baola immediately. They were very experienced in this kind of thing and there was no way they would be trapped by anyone. It is impossible for Xinhua to escape today. It will be easy if they can control Cheng Baola. Xinhua didn't care and went straight to the front desk. Both the front desk clerk and the waiters had been keeping an eye on these tables for a long time because they were too conspicuous. This group of people started with a few women eating, then another wave came, and then wave after wave, eating up 3 tables in total, spending a lot of money. The waiters had been discussing this in private for a long time. So when Xinhua arrived at the front desk, the beautiful girl at the front desk smiled sweetly and said, Hello sir, the total consumption of the 3 tables is 1 cent 3 cents 200 milliards. Xinhua secretly calculated it, 1.3 cents, converted to the past, this would be 13,000 yuan. Sun Li is so cruel. Xinhua snapped his fingers at the waiter, then took out his wallet and asked in a low voice. Please help me calculate the total consumption of the other tables besides these 3. The beautiful lady at the front desk was stunned. Besides these 3 tables. Other tables. Right. Xinhua nodded seriously. The receptionist was a little confused, but still lowered her head, took out a calculator and bill, and started calculating. There are currently 18 tables of people dining in the entire hall, excluding these 3 tables, there are 15 tables in total. Hello sir, the total is 4.3 cents. Xinhua nodded and whispered. Okay, I'll give you 5 cents later, and the remaining 7 cents is your tip. I'll pay for the entire restaurant, but not those 3 tables. Do you understand? The receptionist opened her mouth slightly, shook her big eyes, and nodded slowly. Especially when she heard that Xinhua was going to give her a 7-cent tip, her eyes and eyebrows were immediately curved with smiles. They were very clear about this kind of thing. After the meal, even the gossip of those women about how they tricked Porter was revealed by their waiter. It's not enough to just rip off one table, but he even called in a large group of people to come and eat and drink for free. Don't be such a pity. Now, although this boyfriend is not good looking, he is not short of money. People are spending money to discipline them. Okay, when I go over there later, you can make a full court announcement for me and say that I've paid for the entire venue. Is that okay? Xu Xingyang asked. No problem. Xu Xingyang smiled slightly and directly gave it 5 points. However, just as Xu Xingyang had scored 5 points, the system in his mind suddenly spoke. Consumption is detected and 5 points are obtained. The points can be used to redeem reinforcement points. The redemption will be automatically enabled when 10 points are obtained. Integral? Xu Xingyang was stunned. He could earn points by checking his spending. But what about buying clothes before that? Oh, he suddenly realized that he didn't buy those clothes, so they probably didn't constitute consumption. The $5 became a card. Even the clothes were given to Cheng Baolar by Tang Ying, so they didn't constitute consumption. But what is this strengthening point? He looked at the translucent screen and saw that there was indeed an enhancement interface, but it was gray and required 10 points to open it. 1 cent is 1 point, 10 cents is 10 cents, 1 kwai is 100 points, and you just need to spend 5 cents on it. Xu Xingyang nodded and said he would think about it later. He took 2 steps and turned back to remind. By the way, let me remind you that after we leave, you'd better call the police first. Also, when they come over later, tell them that I have a message for them. After saying that, Xu Xingyang whispered twice in her ear. Clear. The beautiful girl at the front desk smiled and made an okay gesture. Chapter 12, Please pay the bill. Xu Xingyang was there paying the bill, and Sun Li and the others looked at each other and sneered at each other. The meals at these tables cost at least a penny more. Look at how you ended up today. Don't you like pretending? They were not afraid that Xu Xingyang would run away. After all, Cheng Baola was still here. Looking back, I saw Xu Xingyang whispering with the beautiful girl at the front desk, pointing his hand over here, and finally completing the scanning action. They all smiled smugly almost at the same time. Done. I had a free meal today and also showed off in front of my relatives and friends. Enjoyable. Seeing Xu Xingyang walking back with a slightly distressed expression, they were so happy. Just about to say something. Suddenly the loudspeaker in the hall rang. Congratulations to the customers who are currently dining in our restaurant. Up to now, all the consumption has been paid by Mr. Xu. Our restaurant will give you a free dessert. I wish all the lucky customers a happy meal. As soon as the loudspeaker sounded, everyone looked towards Xu Xingyang. There was thunderous applause. Customers and waiters all raised their hands and applauded. Many people at the tables even stood up and waved to Xu Xingyang from afar. Some of them simply raised their wine glasses and toasted from afar. For a moment, the Xinhua restaurant, which had been somewhat quiet, was filled with laughter and became very lively. Xu Xingyang also stood up proudly, clasped his fists towards everyone, and sat down again. After hearing this announcement, the only people who didn't applaud were Sun Li and her table. I originally thought Xu Xingyang was just holding on. But if you really want to hold on, there is no need to buy all the other tables. Pay for the whole place. That would cost several cents. For a moment, all the girls were stunned, feeling mixed emotions. Of course I am happy, I had a free meal today, but Cheng Baola's boyfriend is so damn rich. 5 jealous hearts were burning. The way he looked at Xu Xingyang was completely different. There was jealousy, shock, and of course the most overwhelming feeling was passion. And Sun Li looked at the clothes bag again. If Xu Xingyang is really that rich, then this dress is just as I suspected just now, definitely not a fake one. This piece of clothing is worth 3 points. Damn it, you Cheng Baola, you actually called the genuine product a fake and just refused to give me the clothes. Oh my god, Porter, your boyfriend is so awesome. He paid for the whole place, great job, handsome. A girl pulled Cheng Baolar and spoke excitedly, but there was a sinister light in her eyes. Why you? Why is it always you? Cheng Baolar was speechless. How could Xu Xingyang spend money recklessly? Even if you have money, you shouldn't spend it like this. She could only smile and didn't know what to say. Hey! Porter, there's a new hot spring opened over at Zhengyang Mountain. It's so great. I've made a reservation. Let's go there next week. Bring your boyfriend and let's have some fun. Relax. A girl who was close to Xu Xingyang unbuttoned a button on her collar without leaving any trace, and then hugged Xu Xingyang's arms. Another one also hurried over. That's right, you didn't even tell us that you had a boyfriend, that's so mean. Can you lend me your boyfriend someday? I don't even have a boyfriend yet, and I don't know how to deal with my mom when I get home. As he spoke, he actually walked around the table and moved closer to Xu Xingyang. Xu Xingyang directly picked up a chopstick, held the shoulders of the woman who was trying to hug his arm, slowly pushed her away, and said to Cheng Baolar, "Baby, it's okay, we should go now. Have you forgotten that you still have to go?" "Oh yeah. I'll go first then." Cheng Baolar understood, as if she remembered something, and quickly stood up. A few women wanted to stop them, but seeing that the two of them were determined to leave, they could not stop them anymore and could only turn around and think of another way. Anyway, the purpose of calling them here is to settle the bill, so it doesn't matter after the bill is settled today. Xu Xingyang picked up his bag and clothes, smiled apologetically at the few people, and then he was held hand by Cheng Bao, and the two of them walked out in a swagger. When the guests at other tables saw Xu Xingyang leaving, they all greeted him politely. The receptionist also nodded at him with a smile. Xu Xingyang laughed and pointed at the beautiful girl at the front desk. The beautiful girl silently took out her cell phone and called Yaoyaling. After Xu Xingyang and his companion left the restaurant, Sun Li and the others started talking. "Fuck, he's so rich. The clothes I saw just now are not fake at all. They must be genuine. What good fortune did Cheng Baola accumulate in her previous life? She is so lucky, damn. The whole venue is paying for it. How much does it cost? At least 5 or 6 points, right? No, the more I think about it, the more I feel I'm at a loss. Why should I do that? Cheng Baola was brought here by us, and her boyfriend paid for us. Why should he buy everything? That's our money. That's right. Hey, let's go to the front desk and get our money back. Once we get it back, we can leave. Yes, that's what we paid for, we need it back." The more they thought about it, the more they felt that they were losing out. So much money was just given to strangers. This was such a waste. After they finalized it, they packed up and went to the front desk. "Hey! Did you know that the two people who just left were from our table?" Sun Li patted the table and asked rudely. The pretty lady at the front desk was all smiles. "No. I'm his sister. My brother is such a jerk, he spends money recklessly all day long, and just now he paid for the whole place, and he used my money. Just return the money to me and just count it for our 3 tables." Sun Li flipped her hair and spoke casually. The beautiful lady at the front desk keeps smiling. "It's impossible to refund the money. The gentleman just now has already paid the bill. It's impossible to refund. And your 3rd table hasn't paid yet. Please settle the bill." "I what?" Sun Li was stunned for a moment, and felt her brain buzzing. "What the hell are you talking about? He just came over from our table. Are you blind? He paid for everything and you guys even reported it." A girl yelled angrily. The beautiful lady at the front desk showed a regretful expression. "I'm sorry. Mr. Xu did pay for the whole meal just now, a total of 5 cents, but he did not pay for your 3 tables. I'm really sorry. He also asked me to tell you a message. It's called, a guest should not bring guests. I hope you can understand the human relationship. Your 3 tables spent a total of 1 cent, 3 cents, 200 cents. Would you like to scan the code, pay by card, or pay in cash?" Chapter 13, Rear-End Collision Requires Money. Xu Xingyang and the other man walked a short distance when they heard a commotion coming from the direction of Xinhua Restaurant. Soon a police car stopped in front of Xinhua Restaurant. Cheng Baola's cell phone suddenly started ringing frantically. But Cheng Baolar naturally wouldn't answer it. "I guess they will treat me as their mortal enemy even more from now on." Cheng Baolar pressed the mute button and said helplessly with a pout. "What else? Do they consider you as a friend?" Xu Xingyang sneered. "You, even if you have money, you can't spend it recklessly. Why do you have to pay for the whole place? How much does it cost?" Cheng Baolar poked Xu Xingyang with her hand in dissatisfaction. Xu Xingyang smiled helplessly. "Don't spend money recklessly. Not only do you have to spend money recklessly, You also have to spend it as quickly as possible and spend it hard. I have to see for myself what that enhanced function is all about. Okay, got it. As they were talking, Xinhua cell phone rang. I picked up the phone and a familiar name came into view. Zhang Yu. Nicknamed Octopus, he is my good brother. When the company went bankrupt, my house was almost liquidated. It was Zhang Yu who took out the savings he had accumulated over the years and helped him. Zhang Yu should be penniless now. Hello. Xinhua answered the phone. Hey. Lao Shu. I'm driving to pick you up, cheer up, I'll take you to make money. Zhang Yu's urgent voice came. Come pick me up at Xinhua Road. I'm here. Oh. I'm just about to arrive at the next intersection, wait for me. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Xinhua looked at Cheng Baolar helplessly. He originally wanted to buy something to have a sumptuous dinner with Cheng Baolar. Cheng Baolar took the gym bag and clothes from his hands and raised her little head. That's great. I want to go home and try on some clothes. Who cares about you? Humph Tilder. After saying that, he made a face at Xinhua and left. Xinhua smiled slightly. After a moment, a new jetter stopped in front of him and the window rolled down. Zhang Yu held his temples with his hands in a cocky manner. Get in the car. I wonder what's wrong with you today, you actually went out, shaved and washed your face. Zhang Yu saw that Xinhua was in good spirits, completely different from the decadent guy he wanted to slap some time ago. I was suddenly confused. I am resurrected. Xinhua said with a smile, then looked inside the car and asked. This isn't your car, I remember you sold it. I borrowed it. We are going to discuss something. I have found a big project. If we can negotiate it, we can grow bigger and stronger step by step. Create more glory. Zhang Yu drove with one hand and waved his fist vigorously with the other. Isn't that the photovoltaic power generation project you wanted to do last time? Xinhua said helplessly. Zhang Yu smiled awkwardly. Well, we are like Wu Dalang marrying Kardashian, we don't know the depth of the matter. So what is this time? Let me tell you, this project is like a stink bug falling from the ceiling, you can eat it while lying down. You're disgusting, aren't you? Xinhua glanced at him. This idiot's catchphrases are all full of nonsense. It has been so many years, he can even publish a collection of them. You know there's a big internet celebrity in our city, his name is Ma Mou. He claims to be a Xingyi master or something, and he knows Qigong, but is actually a liar. Xinhua nodded. He knew this person even without leaving his house. He was simply a source of joy. It's him. His team is looking for temporary workers now, those with good bodies and muscles. They package us as boxers, make up some titles, and then let us fight fake fights and get knocked down by him. 8 cents at a time. 8 cents. Zhang Yu gritted his teeth and made an 8. Xinhua nodded. 8 cents, and it's in New York. This is the good project you mentioned. TSK, how is it not better than you staying at home? You said your muscles are of professional standard. I am tall and strong, so I am definitely qualified. What do you call this? This is called closing the door and pinching the crotch, rushing to get an inch. Zhang Yu was talking to Xinhua proudly. There was a red light ahead, and Zhang Yu stopped steadily. But a moment later. Boom! There was a loud bang, the car body shook violently, and the two men looked back at the same time. It turned out that a car was chasing them from behind. Fuck! Zhang Yu cursed inwardly, pulled the handbrake, and the two of them hurriedly got out of the car. The car that hit them was a bright red BMW 5 Series with a temporary license plate. It was a brand new car. At this time, a woman wearing high heels, a tight skirt and heavy makeup got out of the car. The woman was still holding the phone in her hand. When she got out of the car and saw that there was a big hole in the front of her car, she was immediately furious and shouted into the phone. I'll call you later. Something's wrong with me. Then he hung up the phone and yelled at Zhang Yu. How the hell do you drive? Zhang Yu was furious when he got out of the car. This was a borrowed car, and no matter whether the other party compensated him or not, it would be difficult to explain when he went back to repair the car. But when he saw that it was a brand new BMW, he suddenly felt a little scared. After being yelled at by this woman again, he lost all his momentum. There is no way, this is what poor people are like. Even if you are right, you don't have the confidence. When people are poor, they have low aspirations. This, you hit me, you rear-ended me. Zhang Yu said with a look of grievance. The woman's chest heaved violently with anger and her eyes widened even more. What? I'm rear-ending you. If you don't stop the car properly, how could I rear-end you? I didn't stop at a red light. Bullshit, you braked so quickly, how could I react in time? I was already stopped here for a while before you bumped into me. Shut up. Don't say anything, I'm disgusted by you. Pay me up. You can't leave without 5 cents today. The woman waved her hand impatiently and said with disgust. 5 cents. Repairing your car will only cost a penny at most. Zhang Yu screamed in fright. This is my new car. A 50-cent BMW that I just drove out of the 4S store. Brand new. And I crashed into you, a fool. Look at the damage to the front of the car. The woman shouted at the top of her lungs, and all the cars around stopped and just watched the fun. Zhang Yu immediately grabbed his hair in panic. Just get it straight, you rear-ended me, you're fully responsible, and no one's repairing my car yet. You, how about this, sister, let's not get involved, let's just go our separate ways, okay? I won't hold you responsible, okay? Zhang Yu now just wants to keep things quiet. He just wants to admit defeat and send this 50-cent BMW away as soon as possible. This jetter is only 5 cents at most. You don't understand what I'm saying, right? I asked you to pay me back, but you're still talking nonsense like that. The woman pointed at Zhang Yu and cursed. At this time, even some passing drivers couldn't stand it anymore. Don't be a coward, brother. Fight her. This woman is so arrogant when rear-ending someone. It's really rare to see her like that. What a soulless thing. She knows nothing about traffic laws and yet she's still asking others for money. Exactly. If it were me, I would have slapped him a long time ago. Of course, these people are just passing by and are just showing off. Who can understand Zhang Yu's difficulties? What he feared most was that this woman was rich. If she knew someone in the traffic control department, then the penalty would be hard to say. It would be more expensive for this BMW to pay a little compensation than to repair the car yourself. Chapter 14, Unlucky Fatty Son. Call the police. At this time, Xinhua took out his mobile phone, looked at the woman coldly, and dialed the traffic police office. When she heard the words, call the police, the woman frowned and looked at Xinhua angrily. What the hell? What's your business? Shut up. She glared at Xinhua fiercely, with eyes as if she wanted to eat him. There was no need to make a phone call. Before Xinhua answered the call, he saw a traffic enforcement officer walking towards him from a distance. What's going on? The woman immediately started yelling. Comrade, you came at the right time. I was driving fine, but this idiot braked suddenly and the car I just picked up was crashed like this, and he still refused to pay for it. No. I parked normally. Zhang Yu quickly waved his hands to explain. You say it's normal, right? Huh? You have the final say. Shut up. This woman is really good at throwing tantrums, it hurts people's eardrums, and Zhang Yu can't talk her out. The law enforcement officer glanced at her and said indifferently. I think it's all your fault. They don't have to compensate you. I'll know the details after watching the surveillance video. Take out the certificates first. Why? His car is just a junky one, and mine is a BMW. It's only 50 cents. No matter whose fault it is, he has to pay me. What do you mean by full responsibility? She had no idea who was responsible for the accident, she just knew that her new car was damaged. Stop talking nonsense. Bring me your vehicle registration and driver's license, quickly. The law enforcement officer frowned and scolded directly. Zhang Yu sighed and went to get the book. But when she heard about taking a driver's license, the woman frowned and looked a little flustered. Driver's license, I don't have it with me. Where's the ID card? The law enforcement officer immediately became alert and said to her. The woman hesitated. I didn't bring my ID card either. The law enforcement officer frowned immediately, then looked down and saw that the woman was wearing high heels. He immediately understood and pointed at her. Don't move, wait here. As he spoke, he walked straight towards the law enforcement booth in the distance, obviously going to call someone or get evidence. The woman immediately glared at Zhang Yu and Xinhua viciously and cursed. You two stinking bastards. Just wait and see how I'm going to kill you. As she spoke, she picked up the phone in a panic, and as soon as the call was connected, she said coquettishly, "Oh, husband, I hit two losers at the intersection with my car, and then the law enforcement came and targeted me. Come here quickly." Okay, I'll send you the location. At this time, Xu Xingyang's phone also rang. It's an unfamiliar number. Hello. Is this Mr. Xu? I'm Chen Haohai. The voice coming from the other end of the phone was Chen Haohai's. Xu Xingyang was slightly stunned. What's up? Oh, that's right. I heard from Tang Ying that your girlfriend will be attending a birthday party in a few days. Didn't Tang Ying prepare a gift for her? Do you think I should use it? Xu Xingyang smiled secretly, thinking that Chen Haohai asked this question just to express his feelings. No, it's just a small party. Xu Xingyang refused. Okay, I'll listen to you. By the way, how do you know my phone number? Tang Ying doesn't even have my phone number. Oh, don't be angry. I'm very familiar with the head of our city government, and I asked him to help me check it. Chen Haohai suddenly said with some fear. Oh tilde. Xu Xingyang suddenly realized and looked at the BMW woman next to him with interest. Hang up first. I'm busy right now. Someone hit our car and asked me for money. Xu Xingyang said with a smile. Chen Haohai was stunned. Is there such a thing? Yes, he was probably driving without a license, and he was wearing high heels. His attitude was very arrogant. I think people like him should be banned from driving for life. I see. Seeing that Chen Haohai understood, Xu Xingyang hung up the phone. He didn't want to use Chen Haohai at first, but this woman had obviously found someone else. If he didn't use him, he might really let her get what she wanted. Humph, lifetime driving ban, you look like an idiot to me, you probably don't know what it means to have someone in a high position to get things done. When she heard Xu Xingyang talking on the phone in a relaxed manner, she became furious and sneered sarcastically. Oh? So you have someone above you? Xu Xingyang said with interest. Do you know who my boyfriend is? If he says one thing, I'll put you in jail. Do you believe me? You idiot, you don't understand how deep the water is. Just wait for death. The more she looked at Xu Xingyang's nonchalant expression, the more she hated him, and she wished she could tear his mouth apart. Perhaps the woman's boyfriend was nearby. In less than 2 minutes, before the law enforcement officer came back, a Maserati stopped on the side of the road and a fat man walked over quickly. As soon as he saw this man, Xu Xingyang couldn't help but laugh out loud. This fat man was none other than the fatty son whom I met in Tang Ying's store. When fatty son was halfway through his run, his eyes widened with a look of fear, which then turned into bitterness. The woman quickly came up and said coquettishly, Husband, you're here. I'm so scared. If you don't come, they'll beat me up. But fatty son stared straight at Xu Xingyang, swallowed hard, and smiled flatteringly. Mr. Xu, we meet again. Yeah, seeing each other twice in one day is quite fate. Xu Xingyang nodded. Yes, it's fate. Fatty son smiled. The BMW woman looked confused. She was not stupid and could see that fatty son was a bit difficult to deal with. She was immediately shocked. Fatty son suddenly turned his head and glared at the woman, scaring the BMW girl so much that she trembled. What's going on? Tell me. They parked here, I wasn't paying attention, and I hit them. The car is like this, I just want them to pay some money. Are you a fucking idiot? You're fully responsible for the rear end collision, you know that. And you're still asking others for money, is there shit in your brain? Fatty son was furious and pulled her face hard twice. The BMW girl's face instantly turned red, she covered her face and said aggrievedly. I don't know what full responsibility is. I don't understand. Fatty son took a deep breath in anger, rummaged through his wallet, took out a 1-cent coin, and handed it to Xu Xingyang awkwardly. Mr. Xu, please use this money to repair the car first. Xu Xingyang took the coin without hesitation. He never dreamed that one day such a big coin would be able to solve such a problem. We have something to do, so we'll leave first. You guys stay and wait for us to process it. Xu Xingyang said as he was about to get in the car. This matter was not their responsibility and they could leave at any time, not to mention that Chen Haohai would take care of it. Mr. Xu, could you please say a good word for Boss Tang? This contract is too important to us. Fatty Sun hesitated but still opened his mouth to ask for advice. Xu Xingyang glanced at him coldly. You provoke me twice in one day. I'm already giving you enough face by not pursuing the matter further. Are you bargaining with me? No, I don't dare. Fatty Sun waved his hands repeatedly, smiled bitterly, and took 2 steps back. Xu Xingyang winked at Zhang Yu, opened the door and got into the car. Zhang Yu was a little confused the whole time, and Xu Xingyang was indeed resurrected with full health. The high-spirited and strategic Xu Xingyang is back again. He got into the car somewhat excitedly and drove away from the scene. After they drove away, Fatty Sun's eyes were filled with rage. He turned around, grabbed the BMW woman's hair, and slammed into the BMW. He was almost mad with rage. What bad luck had he gotten into? All the women he found were troublemakers. Having offended this evil star twice in one day, he had no doubt that Xu Xingyang could completely shut down their family with just one word. The BMW woman screamed, and some people who passed by shouted from afar. Zhang Yu and another person were in the car. Fuck, Lao Shu, what happened just now? Why is that fat guy so scared of you? And what is Boss Tang? Zhang Yu asked in confusion. It's a man I knew in business before, and he needs help. Xu Xingyang made an excuse and then took Zhang Yu's phone directly. Oh, by the way, I sold my house and got some money. I'll give you 50 cents first. What? Chapter 15, Don't answer if you don't want to. Zhang Yu was so scared that he slammed on the brakes and stopped on the side of the road. I only gave you 12 cents, why did you give me so much? Xu Xingyang knew his buddy too well. If he gave him too much, he would definitely not accept it. 50 cents was the limit of what he could do to convince him. Besides, I can't tell him that I'm rich now, I won't be able to explain it to others. Do you think I gave it to you? I'm showing my filial piety to Aunt Lin. It wasn't easy for Aunt Lin to raise a fool like you. Then, what are you going to do after you sell your house? You don't have a house either, so why don't we go work for Marguabao? Xu Xingyang laughed. Okay. You really are teasing Jinlian in front of Wu Song looking for excitement. Spend 50 cents and get 50 points. Current score is 55 points, enhanced attributes are enabled. At this time, the system finally rang. Sitting in the car, Xu Xingyang studied this strengthening point. Each point can be exchanged for one enhancement point, and this enhancement point currently has only one option. Comprehensive attributes, 0. Comprehensive attributes include but are not limited to strength, speed, reaction, resistance to blows, hearing, vision, smell, etc. Xu Xingyang was speechless for a while. This is too comprehensive, but currently points only have this one use, so there is no need to worry about it. Add them all to the comprehensive attributes. Comprehensive attributes, 55 points. After adding it, Xu Xingyang's whole body obviously tensed up. He could clearly feel some wonderful changes taking place in his body. He clenched his fists, as if all aspects of his body had indeed improved. But it's not very obvious. Very subtle. But as long as there is a promotion, it is a good thing. Xu Xingyang didn't worry about it because he still had to spend the money anyway. The two did not meet Marguabao during this trip, but the manager really took a liking to them. They agreed that there would be a large live broadcast the day after tomorrow and they would be asked to come directly at that time, with a salary of 8 cents. At night, the two of them had a big meal at a roadside stall, and Xu Xingyang finally saw their millicoin. The 1-cent coin is only half the size of the previous dime, and is also available in denominations of 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, and 500. Further up are the centimeters, which are slightly larger than the millimeters, and the fen and jiao after that, which are all super large denominations. Ordinary dimes are hard to find on the market, and from dimes and above, gold lines begin to be hidden. When I got home after drinking, Cheng Baola was already asleep. When Xu Xingyang woke up the next morning, Cheng Baoer had already gone to work. Xu Xingyang washed up thoroughly, packed his gym bag, and went straight to Cheng Baola's gym. As soon as I stepped into the gym, the front desk clerk sighed when he saw him. Xu Xingyang didn't care. He smiled shamelessly at the girl at the front desk, raised his eyebrows, and looked very familiar. The beautiful receptionist rolled her eyes at him immediately, then reluctantly pressed the communicator to call Cheng Baolar. This is the process every time Xinhua comes being taken in by the fitness coach to train for free. But this time, Xinhua pressed his hand towards her and made a gesture to keep quiet. Don't call her yet. I'm not going to take classes today. I'm going to get a card first. Apply for a card. The girl at the front desk looked at him in confusion. Xinhua has been practicing here for a long time. Because fitness clubs are not particularly rigorous places and there won't be particularly serious damage, people who work in gyms can usually bring their friends over occasionally. However, Xinhua does not do this often. He simply treats this place as a place for long-term training. Why did you think of applying for a card today? Is it because you have money? You have money. The girl at the front desk could be said to be Xinhua's second most familiar person in the gym. After all, he had to say hello every time he came, so she wasn't polite. How to talk to God? Xinhua said unhappily. The girl at the front desk pouted at him immediately, then pressed the communicator and said, "Come out and get a membership." There are two sales positions in the gym. One is the membership consultant, who is responsible for selling gym memberships, and the other is the fitness trainer, who is responsible for selling various fitness courses and teaching courses. Soon, a curly-haired man, about 26 or 27 years old, trotted out of the membership office. The man looked towards the front desk happily, but the moment he saw Xinhua, his expression suddenly fell and he walked to the front desk with a frown. Any customers? The girl at the front desk pointed at Xinhua. The member immediately said with a cold face, "I won't take it. Let it go." The girl at the front desk glared at him and looked at him with dissatisfaction. They could talk and make a scene at ordinary times, but saying such things in front of customers was not a work attitude at all. Why don't you answer it? Didn't you know that Cheng Baolar brought him here to practice every day? When it's my turn, assign me a customer like this. He will at most sign up for a quarterly or half-year card. In the end, it is possible that even if you ask for the price, it will still not be done. Aren't you just giving me a water interview? I want to accept it. The curly-haired guy didn't care at all whether he was in front of Xinhua or not. He just started yelling, turned his head away, and had a very tough attitude. It's almost the end of the month, and his performance is almost catching up with the first place. Now every visitor is crucial. As a result, it was not easy to get his turn today, but he was so unlucky that the people that Cheng Baolar brought in for free practice all day long wanted to apply for a membership card. If such a person has money, would he still practice for free? At most, he would just ask, and at most he would only pay for half a quarterly or monthly membership. How much achievement can that achieve? If he took over from Xinhua, he would not be able to get a turn in the short term and would lose the chance to get a big order, making it impossible for him to surpass the first place. The top salesperson every month gets an extra bonus of 3%. We must not let Xinhua be ruined. The girl at the front desk slammed the pen in her hand onto the counter. Sun Lichao. Are you going to take it or not? If you don't take it, don't take any more interviews today. Although the girl at the front desk is not tall and has a petite figure, she is obviously not someone you want to mess with. She is a hottie who clearly distinguishes between public and private life. In the gym, some front desk staff have more power than members or even coaches. What's more, they will complain. Curly looked at Little Pepper angrily and glared at Xinhua fiercely. He couldn't afford to offend Little Lajiao, but he could still disgust Xinhua. He immediately rolled his eyes and turned to the side, muttering in an indirect way. It's really like a toad lying on your feet, it doesn't bite but it disgusts you. Why did you apply for a card any other day but today? What an idiot. If someone is a bit more thin-skinned, he would get angry and leave after seeing them arguing so loudly. Xinhua shook his head and smiled bitterly. This kind of person is really weird, but maybe this money should not belong to him. Xinhua looked at the girl at the front desk and said, "You can also sell cards, right? If someone doesn't want to accept it, don't let them accept it. I can just get one from you." Chapter 16, for Infinite Platinum Cards. In their club, membership reception for customers who come to the store is just a process, but anyone can sell cards. If the cleaning lady invites people she knows to apply for a card, she will also get a commission. Yeah. Why don't you just sell it yourself? Curly immediately found an opportunity and said to Pepper. Little Chili still looked at Curly with some annoyance and asked. "You're sure you don't want to answer it? This isn't a spontaneous visit. She came to you specifically to do it. Why are you forcing it on me? Why don't you just ask her to do it?" Curly said this with a sneer on his face, and the last sentence was directed at Xinhua. Xinhua always felt that this guy was a sissy. After he said that, he walked towards the membership office in a pretentious manner. "Alas, it seems that you still have to earn your share of money from me, your god." Xinhua took out his cell phone and knocked it in front of the front desk, saying with a grin. The receptionist rolled his eyes at him. "How long has it been going on? Please introduce yourself to me first." "What's the point of introducing it? Aren't you more familiar with it than me?" "There are two types of cards, ordinary and platinum. Ordinary cards can only be used in this store, while platinum cards can be used in all chains and can be used to pay for all machines in the smart service area, such as coffee, cabinets, VR, etc. Now the regular quarterly card is 800 cents, the half-year card is 1.2 cents, the annual card is 2 cents, the 2-year card is 3.5 cents, and the 3-year card is 5 cents. The unlimited card is 5 cents. Platinum cards are twice as expensive as regular cards. Although she said she was introducing a fart, she actually introduced the fart in a very clear and logical way. "I want for unlimited platinum cards." After hearing this, Xinhua knocked on the table again. The girl at the front desk was so angry that the corners of her mouth twitched twice and she rubbed her teeth. This guy is really just making fun of himself. No matter how many years the gym membership is, it is locked for the cardholder to use alone. Only this unlimited platinum card means no limit on the number of times, no limit on the person, and no limit on any store. "Why are you glaring at me? I'm giving the other 3 away." Xinhua blew at her. "I'll bite you to death." "Okay, but you have to do your business quickly after you finish biting." As Xinhua spoke, he stretched his neck towards her. The little girl was so angry that she wanted to poke him with a pipe. Xinhua stopped teasing her, shook his head and smiled, then took out a few forms from the inside of her desk and started filling them out. Little Lajia was stunned. Xinhua usually joked, but he was very tactful and never went too far and made her uncomfortable. Is he really going to do it? Xinhua carefully wrote down 4 forms and then scanned the payment code on the table. Weishin collects for cents. Listening to the reimbursement, little Lajia was frightened. Unlimited platinum cards cost 1 cent each, and 4 cents for 4 cards. 4 corners. That's enough for a down payment on a 2-bedroom house. And here is Xinhua. Successfully spent 40 cents and earned 40 points. Every month, he receives an annualized return of 12,500 from the system bank alone. But this money is useless if it is just sitting there. You can only get points if you spend it yourself. So Xinhua had to find ways to spend money. If I wasn't afraid that little Lajia would think I was a fool, I would have gotten his 10 unlimited platinum cards. You really want to be 444? Little Lajia was so scared that she stuttered. 4 cents. According to their 20% commission, she could get 8 cents. Her monthly salary is only 4 cents. You're the one who's going to die. Enter it now. Xinhua cursed angrily. Oh. Bar, I was wrong. Little Pepper finally came to her senses and made a few cute poo sounds before hurriedly starting to enter the information. He quickly took out 4 platinum cards from the table and handed them to Xinhua. It's done. Pour God a glass of water. Xinhua nodded and gave the order in a very cocky tone. Without saying a word, Little Pepper ran quickly to get a glass of water. Let God pinch your face. As Xinhua spoke, he pinched Xiao Lajia's little face, making her face plump, which made both of them laugh. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. I'm going in first. Xinhua pursed his lips and smiled. He was naturally teasing little Lajia. They both had WeChat accounts and had played around with each other before. He really liked little Lajia's personality. What's more, little Lajia can work as a receptionist. She has a petite figure and is extremely beautiful, so she is quite popular. Okay, God, take care. Chili said mischievously. She is really not the kind of girl who worships money. It's just that Xinhua might have been poor in the past, so he was not so happy when joking with her, and he always stopped at the right time. She has always enjoyed it and thinks Xu Xingyang is a humorous person with great personal charm. She smiled and bent over to watch Xu Xingyang's back as he walked into the gym. She immediately clenched her fists and shouted, "Yes, twice. After all, it's only 8 cents, and I can't earn that much money in a year." Then she thought of the curly-haired guy again. She thought about sending a good news now to make that guy regret it, but after thinking about it, she was afraid that the curly-haired guy would come out and pester Xu Xingyang and cause trouble for him. It's better to send it before getting off work at noon. Xu Xingyang put the card into his bag and still sneaked into the gym. Because he had originally planned to give Cheng Baolar a surprise today. He walked along the wall to the personal trainer's office, which had fully transparent floor-to-ceiling glass. He looked inside. No one. Looking closely at the wall, there is indeed a blackboard with the coach's personal performance for this month written on it. The strange thing is, I've seen it before, also in this location, but I couldn't see it very clearly. But today it seems a lot clearer. Could it be the effect of the 55 points of comprehensive attributes from yesterday? Xu Xingyang murmured something, and then directly exchanged the 40 points he had just obtained for comprehensive attributes. Comprehensive attributes, 95 points. There was another slight feeling, like an electric current flowing through the body. This wonderful feeling seemed as if every cell was wriggling and changing. Look inside again. Really? A little clearer than before. We can see that Cheng Baolar's name is ranked second to last, only 9 cents. There are a total of 8 coaches, 3 women and 5 men. The first and second place winners were 2 other women. Only Sung Bora ranked 7th. You should know that in the field of private training, female coaches are very popular, especially coaches as highly professional as Cheng Baolar, who deserve extra points. It seems that this idiot is not suitable for the sales industry. The sales performance of the first place has reached 8.9 points. The name was Jiang Lili. Just as Xu Xingyang was craning his neck to look inside, he heard footsteps behind him. "Hello, how can I help you?" Chapter 17, a little surprise that will shatter your worldview. Xu Xingyang was startled, turned around, and was stunned. In front of me is a stunning beauty, with a graceful figure, lively eyes, and just the right amount of delicate makeup, especially her slightly raised red lips, which add 7 points of charm to her pure temperament. This woman's name is Lin Zuxian. She is the real owner of this club and is said to have started her business from scratch. At a young age, he opened 6 Yunhai fitness clubs in Yunhai province and pioneered an immersive fitness experience with smart services. When all gyms were losing money, she had already become very successful in the Yunhai fitness industry with her smart services. This was when Cheng Baolar secretly pointed it out to him and introduced it to him the last time she happened to come here for inspection. It seems that she just happened to come to the gym to inspect the work this time. It might be a secret visit, so she was not accompanied by the store manager or other staff. "You seem to be the big boss of this club. I've seen you before," Xu Xingyang said with a smile. Lin Zuxian smiled sweetly. She had just come in and was going to go directly to the office to change her clothes and inspect the work carefully. But as soon as she entered the door, she met the receptionist, Little Pepper, who told her a shocking news. "I just applied for unlimited platinum cards." She was shocked. Since the infinite platinum cards opened, the 6 stores had sold less than 20 cards in total, and almost all of them were negotiated by herself. "I didn't expect that one person would get 4. She then became interested in meeting this person, so she came over to chat with him. She still asked politely, "Yes, I'm the boss here, how can I help you?" "I want to buy some private lessons," Xu Xingyang said truthfully. "Okay, I'll ask the personal training manager to arrange a coach for you right away." "Hey wait, this is a little complicated, I need you to do it yourself." Originally, Xu Xingyang just wanted to give Cheng Baolar a surprise and spend some money to earn points, but when he saw Lin Zuxian, he had a better idea. "Well, come with me here." Lin Zuxian smiled slightly and did not show any dissatisfaction. As the boss behind the scenes, she had store managers in all 6 stores. She hasn't done business in person for a long time. The 2 came to the store manager's office, and Lin Zuxian knocked on the door gently. Xu Xingyang nodded secretly. The fact that she had to knock on the door before entering her subordinate's office was enough to prove this woman's upbringing. "Enter." As soon as I entered the store manager's office, I saw a woman sitting inside. However, this woman was nearly 40 years old, looked very capable, and was writing something with her head down. When he saw someone coming in, he looked up, was stunned at first, and then stood up with a little excitement. "Boss! Why are you here?" "It's okay, Sister Sun, just do your thing." This Sister Sun was the store manager. Lin Zuxian asked her to sit down, and then asked Xu Xingyang to sit on the sofa. How could Sister Sun just sit there? She hurried to pour some water. "My name is Lin Zuxian, what's your surname, sir?" "My name is Xu Xingyang." "Mr. Xu, what kind of course do you want to buy?" "Let me get this straight. I'm friends with your personal trainer, Cheng Bao Lane. I want to prepare a little surprise for her and buy her $5 lesson," Xu Xingyang said lightly. Lin Zuxian's mouth opened slightly, and she was stunned. The store manager, Sister Sun, who was getting water from the water dispenser, couldn't help but tremble in her hands, and the water immediately spilled out. $5. Lin Zuxian was shocked. It would have been fine if this person had just bought a few unlimited platinum cards, but he also wanted to buy a $5 class. The highest price for a fitness class here is only 300mm, based on the highest price. 3 cents for 10 classes, 3 cents for 100 classes, 30 cents for 1,000 classes, $3 for 10,000 classes, and $5 for nearly 20,000 classes. Even if this coach were to stay for half her lifetime, she still wouldn't be able to finish all these classes. "Yes, $5. Xu Xingyang confirmed. "Mr. Xu, you bought so many lessons. Do you have any special requests? Although we are doing business, we will not ask female coaches to do things they are unwilling to do." Lin Zuxian bit her lip lightly and spoke in a neither humble nor arrogant manner. What she said was not a subtle way of speaking. We were all adults, so we all understood. Xu Xingyang knew that Lin Zuxian had misunderstood, but he was still quite positive about her approach. $5 is not a small amount of money. The monthly sales of her store does not exceed 50 or 60 cents. You misunderstood. I've already said that Paula and I are friends. I just wanted to give her a little surprise to make her happy. She's been worried lately, Xu Xingyang explained. Recently, Cheng Baola has been troubled by performance issues, and things have not been going well for her. She has been squeezed out by her former classmates and cannot find a job anywhere, so she is very distressed, otherwise she would not have gone to the birthday party and tried to find a way out. Lin Zuxian was speechless for a while. Little surprise. Have some fun. She was a little envious of Cheng Baola for giving $5 to make people happy. What is even more shocking is Xu Xingyang's gesture. He took out $5 to make the girl happy. What kind of super rich second generation is this? Could he be the young master of some big family? That's my narrow-mindedness. I'm sorry, Mr. Xu. It's okay, but I have one request, which is that after I buy it, don't announce who the performance is for, just say it's for a certain female coach. When you have a meeting tomorrow to calculate the month-end performance, tell her it's her performance. Xu Xingyang smiled. Since it is a surprise, it should naturally appear when you least expect it. You really dote on her. Paula is so lucky to have a friend like you. Lin Zuxian smiled. Although Xu Xingyang did not say that he and Cheng Baola were a couple, could a man do this just for pure friendship? Don't joke. There is no pure friendship between men and women, unless one of them is so ugly that he cannot be seen. Then, Mr. Xu, can I add your WeChat directly? You can just transfer the money to me and I will do the processing for you. Lin Zuxian took out his cell phone and said. The transfer was fake, so she had to add Xu Xingyang on WeChat and look through his circle of friends to find out more. She is not a person who curries favor with the powerful, but the longer she stays in the business world, the more she understands the importance of connections. More friends mean more roads, more enemies mean more walls. Even if you don't try to curry favor with others, you should know who you should not mess with. Good. Xu Xingyang didn't care. He added WeChat and transferred the money, and the store manager went straight to the point. The store manager naturally knew about Xu Xingyang's free training, because the coaching manager would occasionally talk about it, but the store manager always turned a blind eye. The Yunhai Club is very large, and it would be good to have more people occasionally to increase its popularity. But today Xu Xingyang overturned her 3 views. $5, he transferred it without any hesitation. I have never seen such a generous person. Everything was done according to Xu Xingyang's instructions. After it was completed, the accounting department issued a big congratulatory message, but it only said that it was a female coach but did not reveal her name. Chapter 18, Is This My Achievement? Zhengyang chatted with Lin Zuxian for a while. I found that Lin Zuxian only looked mature, but he was only 1 year older than me, only 26 years old this year, of the same age, and seemed to be single. He started his business using scholarships in college and has come this far step by step, which shows his extraordinary ability. Lin Zuxian originally thought that Zhengyang was some rich second generation, but after chatting with him for a while, he began to look at him with admiration. This person not only has a strong personal charm, but is also humorous and witty, and does not have the airs of a rich man, which is really rare. After saying goodbye to them, Zhengyang went straight into the gym to work out with Cheng Baolar. But not for long. The personal trainer group went wild. Fuck. $5. Whose bill is this? Nah, I don't know. It wasn't mentioned in the good news. It only mentioned the performance. Lily, is it yours? Didn't Brother Chen say that day that he would give you a big order? Could it be that Brother Chen wanted to give you a surprise? The group was bustling with activity. At this time, a utility room in the corridor behind the gym was also bustling with activity. The two sides in the battle were Jiang Lily and the private training coach. This is usually where the coaches hide to smoke, but when the door is locked, it becomes a battlefield. The two quickly ended their fight. The fitness coach lit a cigarette while Jiang Lily helped him clean up. The manager of the personal training department has small eyes, a flat head, and a somewhat fierce look in his eyes. He picked up the phone next to him and flipped through it. Fuck. What's wrong? Jiang Lily stood up and asked. He tilted his phone. $5. Jiang Lily was also shocked when she saw the good news from the accounting department. Female coach. No signature yet. Could this be mine? After Jiang Lily was shocked, she was overjoyed. Have you had such a member recently? The personal training manager was called Chen Chao. He looked at Jiang Lily in confusion and asked. He was also very excited, because no matter who it belonged to, it would be counted into the total performance, and he would benefit from the total performance and would also receive a commission. But Jiang Lily thought about it. That guy surnamed Wang? No, he shouldn't have that much money. Brother Li? It's impossible for Brother Li to. She thought about it and was sure that no one would spend so much money on her. She knew what she was worth because she was not worth that much money. Could it be that bitch Cheng Baolar? Didn't Brother Li and his men offer her this price before, but she refused to accept it? Could it be that she is willing to accept it now? Chen Chao thought with a little excitement, if Cheng Baolar really started to succumb to money now, then would he have a chance too? That bitch Cheng Baolar is so much better than that bitch Jiang Lily. It shouldn't be, otherwise why not sign it? I guess it's some rich local guy who saw a female trainer at the gym, but he didn't know what to do and just spent money to have intimate contact with the female trainer. We have seen this kind of people before. Jiang Lily quickly imagined a scene in her mind where a local tycoon who knew nothing about demolition took money to the accounting department to buy private lessons and shouted, "Give me 2 female coaches." That should be the case. Even if that's the case, it's probably because I saw Cheng Baolar. Chen Chao nodded. This was probably the most reasonable explanation, because this situation had actually happened before. There are many members who do not understand how private training works, and they think that after buying the course, they can choose any private trainer to teach them, so they buy the course without saying anything. Although Jiang Lily was dissatisfied with Chen Chao praising Cheng Baolar in front of her, she had to admit that what he said made sense. No matter what, this order must not fall into the hands of that bitch Cheng Baolar. I want this order. Jiang Lily spoke directly to the point. That's $5. According to their highest performance level, the commission for this order is more than 70 cents. With 70 cents, you can buy a 2-bedroom house with half of the down payment. This is simply a windfall. But think about it, Chen Chao operated behind the scenes, and after paying the money back, he still had to take 70% of it privately. Then I would have more than 20 cents left. Nonsense, this order must be ours. Chen Chao rolled his eyes, thinking about how to operate. As he thought about it, a silver smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He quickly put on his clothes and went straight out of the utility room. Jiang Lily lit a cigarette, took out her cell phone, crossed her legs, and began to look through the shopping cart. With the 2 cents commission, you can clear the shopping cart right away. Cheng Baola, you stinky cousin, I'm going to piss you off to death this time. Oh my, this is really a piece of cake. $5, I can easily spend that much money to buy a course, you might as well give it to me privately. After clearing out the shopping cart, maybe I can even buy a car. Before she even received the money, Jiang Lili had already started planning her spending path. Little did she know that at this time Chen Chao did not go to the accounting department, but went directly to the training area. Porla. Chen Chao saw from a distance what Cheng Baola and Xu Xingyang were talking about. Cheng Baola was pinching Xu Xingyang in a naive way, while Xu Xingyang was grinning. They were actually flirting. He suddenly felt extremely unhappy. What's so good about this stinky loser? Cheng Baola takes him to exercise all day. There is often physical contact. It's been getting in the way all day long, and it's so disgusting to look at. Manager. Cheng Baola was stunned, but now she was not afraid that the manager would criticize Xu Xingyang again, because Xu Xingyang had just given her a new unlimited platinum card, which made her blame Xu Xingyang for spending money indiscriminately again. Porla, He started to speak with a smile, but when he saw Xu Xingyang didn't leave, he frowned and said unhappily. Can you please be more considerate? We are talking about work. Can you please move away? But what he was met with was Xu Xingyang's indifferent yet icy cold eyes. Chen Chao's heart subconsciously trembled and he swallowed hard. He understood the feeling of palpitations, which was fear. Seeing that the atmosphere was tense, Cheng Baolar gently poked Xu Xingyang. I'll wait for you over there. Xu Xingyang said casually, turned around and walked towards the free power area. Chen Chao heaved a sigh of relief when he turned and walked away, but soon became angry again for being afraid of this loser. He cursed him inwardly and suppressed his anger. What's wrong, manager? Oh, that's it. Back to business, Chen Chao quickly changed his expression, with an evil smile that he thought was very charming. Did you check the group just now? A member bought a $5 class and named a female instructor. But actually it was Jiang Lili. I negotiated the deal for her. However, as for the performance, it is up to me to decide who to give it to and who not to give it to. After all, this is $5, which is not a small amount. As he spoke, he licked his lips with a dry mouth and looked at Cheng Baola with somewhat fiery eyes. When she heard there was $5, Cheng Baola was also shocked, but she had already felt Chen Chao's gaze. Chen Chao had hinted to her more than once before, that if she wanted performance, she should have sex with him. Chapter 19, Cheng Baola again. What do you mean? Cheng Baola asked with her eyebrows slightly frowned. What else can it mean, Porter? I'll tell you clearly, I can give you half of this performance, as long as you can come to my place tonight and have a drink with me. Can't we just do nothing? Chen Chao laughed. How can you do nothing after drinking? This statement cannot be made clearer. Give up on this idea. Jiang Lili and I are different. Since this is someone else's achievement, you should just handle it impartially. Cheng Baola smiled coldly and said lightly. Chen Chao looked at Cheng Baola coldly and threatened in a low voice. You are little too ungrateful, Cheng Baola. I have mentioned this to you more than once or twice. You have refuted me again and again. I am giving you face, right? You are the one who doesn't know what's good for you. Get out of here. Cheng Baola took a deep breath to suppress her anger. If there was no suitable job, she would have quit long ago. But she still had to pay rent and eat, so she couldn't afford to shut up her stall. Okay, Cheng Baola, you are very brave. You will regret it one day. When Chen Chao saw Cheng Baolar's expression change, he immediately sneered, pointed at Cheng Baolar, and then quickly walked towards the store manager's office. Without even knocking, Chen Chao pushed the door open. Seeing Sister Sun through the crack in the door, he immediately pushed the door open and walked in. Sister Sun frowned. Chen Chao had changed his expression at this time and came up with a smile. But when he glanced, he saw someone sitting on the sofa. With such a beautiful face, who else could it be but the big boss Lin Zuxian? Chen Chao swallowed hard, glanced at Lin Zuxian's thigh, and his expression became even more flattering. This beautiful boss often appears in my fantasy, but she is usually too far away. I didn't expect to appear here today. God is really helping me. It just so happened that such a big order came in today. If I could take credit for it and attract Lin Zuxian's attention, or even have a chance to have more contact with him. Who let you in? Sister Sun looked at Chen Chao angrily and pulled him back from his fantasy. Boss, you are here too. It seemed as if Chen Chao didn't hear Sister Sun at all and excitedly greeted Lin Zuxian first. Boss, I just wanted to tell you something. I just got a big order worth $5, and I came here to tell you the good news. As Chen Chao spoke, he took 2 steps forward. Lin Zuxian raised his eyebrows. A $5 order? You negotiated it. Chen Chao also became more cautious and did not directly say that he was the one who talked about it. Instead, he said, it's not what we talked about today. It was a client that I helped Jiang Lili negotiate with before. Jiang Lili didn't even know about it, but I helped her close the deal. But today he came, paid the money, and left. I didn't expect him to be so straightforward. I just sent him away. Chen Chao is actually a very cautious person. He originally wanted to find the store manager to ask what was going on. Although his and Jiang Lili's guesses were basically correct, because similar things had happened before. But he was still afraid that he would make a mistake, which would cause big trouble. But as soon as he opened the door and saw Lin Zuxian, his mind buzzed and he instantly threw his usual meticulousness out the window and started to take credit for it. Chen Chao, are you talking about the $5 private training order that was just posted in the group? Sister Sun on the side snorted coldly and asked indifferently. Chen Chao's mind was on Lin Zuxian, and he nodded immediately. Yes. Just as he was speaking, the door was pushed open again and Jiang Lili rushed in. Jiang Lili was a little worried, so she ran over after finishing her cigarette, excitedly wanting to witness the moment when the 5 yuan performance was allocated to her. At this moment, she saw Lin Zuxian sitting on the sofa and hurriedly greeted her. Hello, Mr. Lin. Sister Sun, has my order been transferred? Jiang Lili asked, suppressing her anxiety. What order? Sister Sun asked in a cold voice, pretending to be confused. That's the $5 bill from earlier. Wasn't it for the female coach? That bill is actually mine. Just transfer it to me. Jiang Lili pointed at herself while speaking, as if urging Sister Sun to act faster. Sister Sun slowly put down her pen, leaned back, and asked. So this order is yours. What's the name of this member? Jiang Lili's smile froze on her face instantly. Broken. She was in such a hurry just now that her mind was full of thoughts about sharing the performance, and she forgot to go to the accounting office first. If she had taken a look at the members' names and asked about the situation, then her story would have been very complete. I forgot the member's name, but I remember he was a middle-aged man, of average height and build. Jiang Lili was confused. According to their guess, it must be a man like this. No woman or young person would do this. Only those stupid and hungry middle-aged people would do this. Bang! Sister Sun slapped the table so hard that the pens on the table jumped up. Even Lin Zuxian was startled by her and glared at her unhappily. Chen Chao and Jiang Lili were even more shocked. Bullshit. Chen Chao, I gave you one chance, but it seems you don't know what's good for you. Pack up your things and get out. You two are fired. What? Chen Chao was immediately shocked, knowing that he must have been cheated, but it didn't mean he would be fired. He immediately said, Sister Sun, what are you talking about? I might have remembered it wrongly. Maybe it's not that customer. Jiang Lili was frightened by Sister Sun and her brain was a little out of order. She couldn't figure out the situation and asked blankly. Expelled. What's wrong, Sister Sun? What's wrong? You think I'm a missing soul, right? Get out of here right now. Although Sister Sun is a bit old, she looks absolutely imposing when she glares. Chen Chao and the other man were really dumbfounded this time. Yunhai Fitness Club is one of the best gyms in the city. Located in a shopping mall, it has a good siphon effect. It is one of the few profitable gyms in Santai City and offers generous treatment. But now that Sister Sun has spoken, there is obviously no room for maneuver. There is no need for them to be so servile, they can just as well find the second best gym. So Jiang Lili slammed the door and walked out angrily, and Chen Chao also took a deep breath and walked out unwillingly. They could barely accept being fired, but the fact that they could no longer earn a $5 performance bonus was a bit unacceptable. Burning with jealousy, Jiang Lili ran straight to the accounting office. I had just arrived at the accounting office and hadn't even pushed the door open when I heard discussions inside. Oh my god, what good fortune did Paula accumulate in her past life? That's right. Sister Sun said that this $5 is a small surprise for them and it will be announced tomorrow. $5, I calculated that the commission alone is 76 cents, which is enough to buy a small house. Chen Chao, who was walking behind, also heard the discussion and became furious. It's Sung Bora again. The $5 was all for Cheng Baolar. Jiang Lily was so angry that she was shaking all over, and she walked towards the training area with a menacing look. Chapter 20, Missed Big Client. This time, Cheng Baolar was chatting up a female member and carefully teaching her the moves. Suddenly, he saw Jiang Lily coming with a fierce momentum and ill intentions, and his brows immediately tightened. Jiang Lily walked closer and without saying a word, raised her hand and slapped Cheng Baolar in the face. She was almost jealous to death. It was only 70 cents, and she couldn't earn that much money in 3 to 5 years. Such a huge sum of money actually all belonged to Cheng Baolar, how could she not be angry? But her skills were obviously not as good as Cheng Baolar's. Cheng Baolar slapped her wrist with her backhand and slapped her hand away. Jiang Lily was furious. How dare you fight back? Instead of slapping her, she felt a sharp pain in her wrist. Jiang Lily was so angry that she couldn't vent it. She immediately raised her leg and wanted to kick her. But before she could kick out, she felt someone grab her long hair and pull her whole body down, and it seemed that a small clump of her hair was pulled out. He fell to the ground in a daze. Fortunately, the floor of the training area is covered with rubber. She screamed and looked, and found it was Xinhua, and immediately started cursing. You're looking for death. But before she could finish her words, Xinhua stepped on her face. Jiang Lily only felt a huge force coming, and her head seemed to be about to be crushed. She felt dizzy and almost went into shock on the spot. At this time, the store manager had already run over with the security guard, and the members who were watching the fun also gathered around. Xinhua spread his hands to the store manager, indicating that he was acting in self-defense. The store manager naturally knew what was going on. He smiled apologetically at Xinhua, then signaled the security guard to pull Jiang Lily up. Jiang Lily had been kicked so hard that her mind was a little unclear, and she was dragged out like a dead dog. Chen Chao watched from a distance and had no intention of coming up to help. Jiang Lily is just his mistress, he will not stand up for her. But when he saw Xinhua, he hated him so much that his teeth itched. Xinhua, I will kill you sooner or later. He gritted his teeth and went to the office angrily to pack his things. Did you buy that $5 private lesson? As soon as they left, Cheng Baolar grabbed Xinhua in dissatisfaction. Thinking about the cause and effect, she quickly figured it out. She was afraid that there was no other explanation except Xinhua. Xinhua was helpless. He had originally wanted to give a surprise, but he didn't expect it to be ruined by those two idiots. You are stupid, that's $5. Do you think you are showing off just because you have money? Cheng Baolar stamped her feet in anger. $5 could buy a big villa in the suburbs. The most infuriating thing is that Xinhua is still sharing a house with me, but he used the money for a villa to buy a bunch of crappy private lessons. Xinhua laughed secretly, I am not showing off, how can I increase my points if I don't spend money like this? Do you want to eat Xiaobao? I'll bite you to death. After making Cheng Baolar run away in anger, Xinhua smiled and continued exercising. The private training department had already caused a stir, and soon there were no more coaches on the scene. They all pulled Cheng Bao into the private training office and asked him all sorts of questions, and many of them looked at Xinhua. But the more exciting news is that Chen Chao and Jiang Lily were fired at the same time. This group of people didn't dare to be nice to her before, otherwise they would be targeted by Chen Chao, but it must be said that Cheng Baolar has a very likable personality. They immediately surrounded Cheng Baolar and started chattering, laughing and dancing. When Xinhua was about to finish his exercise, WeChat rang. It was Tang Ying's WeChat. Mr. Xu, do you have time at noon? Chen Haohai and Dong Chengming from Tinglong Real Estate would like to invite you to dinner. Brother Chen was afraid of disturbing you by calling you, so he asked me to contact you via WeChat. The message was full of caution. Xinhua thought about it. He had also heard of Dong Chengming. Santai City is the capital city of Yunhai Province, and Tinglong Real Estate is the largest real estate developer in the entire Yunhai Province and the only real estate company in Yunhai Province with a market value of over 100,000 yuan. Okay, let's decide on a place. Xinhua still agreed. He had nothing to do at noon anyway, so it would be nice to meet them. It's a good opportunity to see what these three little foxes are planning. Okay, I'll reserve a seat and send it to you right away. Tang Ying replied quickly and playfully sent a cute smiley face emoticon. A few minutes later, an address was sent. Haicheng Hotel, Tianjia No. 1, 3rd floor. There are only 2 5-star hotels in Santai City, and Haicheng Hotel is the earliest one. What's interesting is that the owner of this Haicheng Hotel seems to be the third of the 4 heroes of Yunhai together with Chen Haohai and others. Zhengyang put away his phone, took a shower and changed his clothes. After getting the platinum card, he has an exclusive smart locker, which is not only spacious, but the gym will also help him wash and quickly dry his dirty clothes. After changing into his own clothes, Zhengyang saw Cheng Baola still being surrounded by the coaches chattering, and couldn't help but smile. He greeted her from a distance and went straight out of the gym. Zhengyang had just walked out of the gym. Such a message appeared in the gym's WeChat group. Congratulations to receptionist Yao Jingjing for selling for unlimited platinum cards. Visiting customer number 19. At this time, in the membership office, a group of people were discussing heatedly the $5 private training order. Sun Lichao was also very depressed, half lying on the stool with his legs crossed. Because he had just received a customer, but after spending a lot of time talking to him, the customer still didn't get a card. At this moment, a man rushed into the membership office like the wind and shouted, "Fuck, check the group." Everyone opened the group again and saw the message. For unlimited platinum cards. The deal was made at the front desk. What happened? Didn't they give us any share? Fuck, how much is this commission? 8 points. Hey, Sun Lichao, customer number 19, isn't this the order you handed over? You just took number 20, was number 19 the one you handed over to the front desk? Suddenly someone spoke to Sun Lichao with a bit of gloating. Sun Lichao's eyes suddenly widened. He remembered. The Zhengyang just now. Yes, that's it. Look, it's written here. The number 19 has just been crossed out. Someone pointed directly to a shift schedule on the wall. Number 19 was written as Sun Lichao, but he crossed it out and changed it to number 20. He even had a small conflict with the 2 people below because of this, so everyone knew about it. Hey! I heard that this class offers for unlimited platinum tickets, which is equivalent to buying a private lesson for $5. Wow, the front desk and Cheng Baolar have met such an awesome person in the future, and they won't have to worry about performance in this life. If I could get to know some other rich people through him, that would be such a great feeling, wow. Listening to the sarcastic comments from the crowd, Sun Lichao felt like he was struck by lightning. How is that possible? How come Zhengyang is so rich? He jumped up from the stool like crazy and ran outside to the front desk. Chapter 21, the 3rd floor is not for you to go to. At this time, the hot pepper Yao Jingjing was surrounded by a group of girls, chattering about something. After seeing the good news, even the cycling coach came to gossip. Sun Lichao ran to the front desk with an extremely ugly expression and said to Yao Jingjing coldly, "Yao Jing, that's my achievement." Yao Jing glared at him. She had already expected that the first thing Sun Lichao would do after seeing the good news would be to ask for performance. Your performance? Isn't this the time for you to be mocking our customers? Isn't it time for you to tell your client that you don't want to receive him because he's poor? Don't give me so much nonsense. Even if I don't want to take it, it's still my client. It's my turn to take it. Sun Lichao stomped his feet in a feminine manner and shook his head in a tantrum. Sun Lichao, you treat this place like your home, what do you want? I asked you to take the call but you refused, and you secretly changed it to take the call for customer number 20. Now that customer number 19 has done the deal, you come here again. Do you want some billion? When did I say I wouldn't take the job? I didn't say I wouldn't take the client. It was you who felt this client had a chance, so you told me to take the job on the 20th and you would take care of it yourself. Otherwise, the sales will be mine. I don't care, you give me the sales back. Sun Lichao's voice became louder and louder, and soon he woke up the store manager. Sister Sun frowned. The boss finally came here today and had some good things happen to him, but these bastards started to make fun of him like crazy. First it was Chen Chao and Jiang Lily, 2 trash, and then Sun Lichao showed up and started yelling. Humph, the second thing you said when you left the house was that I won't answer the phone. Let it go. The surveillance camera captured it clearly. I've given the surveillance camera to Sister Sunday. You can talk to Sister Sun yourself. Yao Jingjing smiled coldly. Sun Lichao was immediately furious. He originally wanted to make a fuss, but he didn't expect Yao Jing to pull up the surveillance footage. The gym was equipped with the best smart surveillance systems that could even record sound, so he couldn't continue to make trouble. Yao Jing. You can give me half of it. Sun Lichao was almost furious. That was a full 8 cents of income. Even if it was only half of that, it would still be 4 cents, which was equivalent to his half-year's salary. He is regretting it so much now. Why did he have to treat others differently? Sun Lichao, come in. Sister Sun suddenly shouted behind her. Sun Lichao was so scared that he shuddered. Yao Jing and others were laughing secretly. Haicheng Hotel is crowded with luxury cars. Xinhua got out of the taxi and looked out of place here. It looks like I should take some time to buy a car. After taking a look at the magnificent decoration, Xinhua walked straight inside with his hands in his pockets. The receptionist at the door was quite polite and did not make things difficult for Xinhua for getting out of the taxi, but he was just not that enthusiastic. In front of the golden stairs leading from the first floor to the second floor, several people were checking information with the waiter. Reservations are required for the second and third floors. At this time Xinhua also came over. He guessed that Chen Haohai and the others should have already made arrangements. But before Xinhua could say anything, someone in the group suddenly turned around and saw Xinhua, and immediately exclaimed in surprise. Xinhua. The person who spoke was a man with slicked back hair, who was slightly plump and greasy. Xinhua recognized this as his college classmate at first glance. His name is Li Hu. Next to him was a girl, also his college classmate, named Chen Meng. Xinhua frowned slightly. Are these two people involved? Behind Chen Meng seemed to be her parents. They were all dressed up and looked like they were attending some important dinner. Chen Meng, what a coincidence. Xinhua ignored Li Hu and nodded at Chen Meng with a smile. This Li Hu comes from a well-off family, but he has a very bad character. He joined some PUA organization when he was in college, and he also had an experience of attempted rape. Later I heard that his family paid to take care of him. Chen Meng seemed a little shy, and at the same time, there was a somewhat bitter smile on her face as she greeted Xinhua. Xinhua, long time no see. Li Hu showed a playful smile at this time, and introduced to Chen Meng's parents. Uncle and aunt, let me introduce you, this is Meng and I's college classmate. He is so amazing. He used his scholarship to start a business before he graduated, and he was doing very well. It was so glorious at that time, and many girls were chasing after him. Chen Meng even pursued him, but he was busy starting his own business and didn't agree at all. Oh, but it seems to have closed down recently, and I heard it's in a lot of debt. After listening to the first half, Chen Meng's parents looked at Xinhua with admiration, but when they heard about bankruptcy, they immediately gave him a perfunctory smile and lost even the desire to say hello. Why are you here? Xinhua didn't even look at Li Hu. Before Li Hu finished speaking, Xinhua looked at Chen Meng and asked in a low voice. This action immediately made the words that Li Hu had been talking about seem very stupid. It was as if he was not listening to the carefully prepared sarcasm at all, which made Li Hu furious. We have a small business, but there are some problems. We need to discuss some things with Party A. I hope we can reach an agreement today. What about you? Are you here for dinner too? Chen Meng glanced at Xinhua shyly and smiled. She still felt a little moved when looking at Xinhua now, and her pretty face turned red unconsciously. Yeah, I'm having dinner with friends too. Oh, it's also on the second floor. It seems to be the third floor. Xinhua told the truth embarrassedly. Xinhua, what the hell are you doing here pretending to be so great? And you're on the third floor. You must have walked into the wrong restaurant. Do you know how much a table on the second floor costs? It's okay to be ignorant, but don't embarrass yourself here, understand? Li Hu saw that Xinhua ignored him repeatedly and dared to act cool in front of him and steal his limelight. He really couldn't stand it anymore. He didn't have much manners to begin with. Chen Meng's parents saw that Li Hu was a little angry, and they immediately joined in. Okay, Meng, don't tell him anymore. Let's go upstairs quickly. Mr. Liu and the others will be here soon. Yes, today we finally got Hu Zi to pay for half of the table on the second floor. This is a big deal, and we can't make any mistakes today. Hurry. Chen Meng immediately looked at Xu Xingyang with an apologetic and slightly aggrieved look on her face, biting her lips lightly to express her helplessness. Xu Xingyang probably realized that their family had encountered problems in business and might need to hold an apology banquet, but they didn't have much money, so Li Hu agreed to pay half of the money and arrange it in this high-end hotel. But that's not the case. How could Li Hu be so kind? Even if he was just pursuing Chen Meng, it was already quite generous. Even though it's on the second floor, a table costs about 4 or 5 cents. Could it be that their family has become rich? Chen Meng's parents planned to go upstairs, but Li Hu did not plan to leave. Chapter 22, Li Hu's Impotent Rage. Li Hu looked at Xu Xingyang coldly. Get out. He was furious. It was bad enough that Xu Xingyang ignored him, but the key point was that he was actually superior to him. He had just been promoted and could get his meals reimbursed. And coincidentally Chen Meng's family had this matter. He took the initiative and offered to pay for half of it. No matter how much money you spend in the end, as long as you get the F-ticket and go back to get reimbursed, you will immediately earn half. He can also show off in front of Chen Meng to make it easier for him to defeat Chen Meng. As a result, Xu Xingyang shamelessly said that he wanted to go to the third floor, which overwhelmed him. If they left now, he wouldn't be able to slap Xu Xingyang in the face on the spot. I am pursuing Chen Meng recently and will never allow such a thing to happen. Xu Xingyang looked at him as if he were a mentally retarded person. Get out. When you can be the security guard here, you will be more convincing than you are now. It will be better than sounding like a fart now. What the hell are you talking about, you stinking loser? Li Hu was furious and pointed at Xu Xingyang and shouted. Li Hu. Watch your words. Chen Meng couldn't bear it anymore and glared at Li Hu angrily. Chen Meng, you took the wrong medicine. Do you know what you are doing? Li Hu narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Chen Meng clenched her fists and gritted her teeth. Chen Meng's mother quickly scolded her daughter. TSK. Xiao Meng, what's wrong with you? Why are you contradicting Li Hu for a loser? You're stupid. Apologize to Hu Zi now. That's right. Hey, young man, if you need to go out, just go out now and stop being an eyesore. We have things to do here. Go away. Chen Meng's father also waved towards Xu Xingyang and the door. Xu Xingyang saw that Chen Meng was also struggling, as if she had something to hide, and he felt a little touched. Especially when she stood up to speak for herself, Xu Xingyang felt a little guilty. I can ask Chen how high to investigate it later. If Chen Meng really encounters any trouble, I can help him secretly. But now is certainly not the time to talk about this. So Xu Xingyang smiled at Chen Meng. I'll go up first. As Xu Xingyang was talking, he was about to go upstairs, and the waiter followed him, checking the information while walking up the stairs. Because today someone on the third floor was indeed waiting for guests, and they would never treat every customer casually. But Li Hu became anxious. Stop. Did I let you go up? Li Hu was completely furious. If he really let Xu Xingyang walk up the stairs today, even if he was allowed to go to the toilet, it would be a huge disgrace to him. His loud shout startled everyone. How can you be so shameless? Why do you have to act so high and mighty in front of us? You are delaying our work. Hu Zi told you to get out, but you didn't do it quickly. Can you please stop being an eyesore? Chen Meng's mother also got angry and pointed at Xu Xingyang's nose and cursed. There was a problem with their family's small business, and it had to be resolved before today's meal. They originally wanted to spend less money at a smaller restaurant as they were currently in a tight financial situation. It so happened that Li Hu went to find his daughter, and it seemed that he wanted to pursue Chen Meng. When he heard about this, he said he could help arrange for them to have dinner here and share the cost for them half. This earned their family enough face and status, and they were able to smoothly make an appointment with the other party they wanted to discuss the matter with. But I didn't expect that I would run into Xu Xingyang just when I was having a great time here, and he wanted to go against Li Hu. If Li Hu gets angry and doesn't help their family arrange the dinner, then everything will be over, so she hates Xu Xingyang madly now. I'll call you aunt for Chen Meng's sake, but you have to understand that he's the one who's provoking me. Xu Xingyang stood on the steps and spoke coldly from a high position. What do I need to know? I don't need to know. If I tell you to get out, just get out. Why are you pretending so much? You dare to go upstairs. Is this where you came from? Look. Seeing that Xu Xingyang dared to talk back, Chen Meng immediately turned on her shrew mode, not caring about the number of people around. Please be quiet and don't make any noise here. A female manager at the front desk came over and reminded me with some dissatisfaction. I'm making a fuss, are you blind? Can't you see he's been against me all along? Why don't you just kick him out right now? Excuse me, we don't kick out our customers without reason, but if you keep making noise, I'm afraid we'll have to ask you to leave. The female manager frowned. Client? Look carefully, how does he look like a client? His company has closed down. He's in debt and is just a pretentious loser. Can't you see that he is just showing off in front of my daughter? I'm telling you, we're here to discuss something very important today. If we're delayed, I'll never forgive you. Chen Meng's father also scolded. But it was obvious that their voices had dropped a lot, and they couldn't really be kicked out. Li Hu looked at Xu Xingyang coldly. Xu Xingyang, I give you 5 seconds to get out of here. Xu Xingyang just found it funny. He knew very well why Li Hu insisted on kicking him out, because he had hosted a dinner party on the 2nd floor and was pretending to be cool in front of Chen Meng's family, but he insisted on going to the 3rd floor, which made him look like a rubbish. Li Hu, you are still a moron who can only be furious. If I don't leave in 5 seconds, what are you going to do next? Or, what can you do? Xu Xingyang sneered. You? Li Hu was immediately furious, but what Xu Xingyang said was absolutely right. Even the waiter was unwilling to kick Xu Xingyang out. What could he do? Take action. Or call the police. What right do you have to tell someone to get out? He actually had no means to do anything to Xu Xingyang, because his family's conditions were not yet good enough for him to be a rich second generation. You? Before Chen Meng's mother could say something, she saw a few people hurriedly walking down the stairs. The leaders were Tang Ying and Chen Haohai. Following behind them was a man in a silver suit, about 40 years old, with short black and white hair, but a handsome and heroic face and a good temperament. A group of waiters, including the female manager, bowed and shouted. Boss. Obviously, the man in the silver suit is the owner of Haicheng Hotel. But when Chen Haohai and Tang Ying saw Xu Xingyang, they were startled and they hurriedly walked down. Mr. Xu, I'm sorry for not welcoming you. How long have you been here? We just got to the 3rd floor and talked for a few words, but we came down late. Don't blame me. Chen Haohai said with great self-blame. They had indeed just arrived not long ago. After chatting for a few words upstairs, they planned to come downstairs to greet them in person. Unexpectedly, they ran into Xu Xingyang as soon as they came downstairs. No problem. Xu Xingyang said calmly. He was in a good mood and didn't care about their high-handedness. But Li Hu really disgusted him and he was a little unhappy. The boss of Haicheng also hurried forward and extended his hand enthusiastically. Hello, Mr. Xu, I'm the owner of Haicheng Hotel, my name is Chen Chusheng. Hello. Please go upstairs. I have arranged everything for you. Chapter 23, Dong Changming's Trouble. The boss personally led the way, and even the female manager and the waiters were stunned. Everyone began to feel scared. Oh my god. Who is this person? If I had known he was such a powerful person, I would have killed them rather than let Li Hu and his group yell at him. I hope people won't blame me. Of course, they are not the most frightened ones. Li Hu was stunned on the spot, his eyes widened. He didn't know these 3 people very well. After all, at his level, he didn't even read business magazines, so how could he know Chen Haohai? But the man who just introduced himself was Chen Chusheng, the owner of Haicheng Hotel. Why would Chen Chusheng come down to greet Xu Xingyang in person? Is there something wrong with your brain? He is just a loser who failed in starting a business. What was even more frightened were Chen Meng's parents. The words that Chen Meng's mother wanted to say to Xu Xingyang were stuck in her throat. Even trembling slightly. Xu Xingyang didn't say anything, but just looked at Li Hu meaningfully. If he had the chance, he would have to deal with Li Hu, but now was not the time, he had other things to do. Li Hu was so frightened that his heart skipped a beat, and then cold sweat began to break out. Xu Xingyang's eyes were so terrifying. I watched Xu Xingyang and those few people who were obviously important people go upstairs and leave. Chen Meng felt mixed emotions. She bit her lip lightly. Sure enough, he is still the excellent Xu Xingyang, but I am even worse than before. This is the only way I can look at his back. Chen Meng's mother breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, those important people did not see her scolding Xu Xingyang. She looked at her daughter and asked in a low voice, "Daughter, who is this person, your classmate?" "Mom. You don't even know who he is, why did you slander him like that just now?" Chen Meng questioned harshly. "Me? I'm just afraid that he will offend Li Hu." "You too, why didn't you remind Mom? Do you think I am familiar with him?" Chen Meng said bitterly. Chen Meng's father looked at Li Hu. "That tiger, look." Li Hu suddenly woke up, his eyes were bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Go up, what are you standing there for?" He absolutely cannot leave now, with so many people watching him. If he turns around and leaves, it will show that he is really afraid of Xu Xingyang. He just knows a boss from Haicheng, so there must be some cooperation project between them. Maybe the other party will not cooperate with him in the end. Chen Meng's family could only go upstairs feeling somewhat dejected. No matter what, they still have to do their business today. Third floor. Xinhua one room. This is the best dining spot in the entire hotel. The large floor-to-ceiling windows face due east, offering a panoramic view of the CBD business district in front and several wide commercial streets. Especially at night, the lights are bright, like a star-studded avenue. When I entered the room, I found there was another person in the room. He was a middle-aged man in a suit and tie with a sad face. The man had his hair combed back and a cigar was on the windowsill. Seeing someone coming in, he quickly put down his cigar, walked up quickly, and said to Xu Xingyang very apologetically, "Hello, Mr. Xu. I am Dong Chengming from Tinlong Real Estate." Xu Xingyang. Xu Xingyang smiled and shook hands. "Due to special reasons, it is not convenient for Dong to show up, so I am sorry for not welcoming you in person. I hope you will not be offended." Dong Changming said very sincerely. "No problem. Please sit down, please sit down." Several people directly let Xu Xingyang take the first place. Xu Xingyang was not polite either. After sitting down, he smiled and said, "The four heroes of Yunhai, I have met 3 of them today, I am so lucky." Chen Chusheng was stunned. I didn't expect that this kid actually knew the 4 heroes of Yunhai. In fact, when he first saw Xu Xingyang, he didn't notice anything. If Chen Haohai had not repeatedly reminded him to be respectful and humble, as a veteran in the world, he would never look at Xu Xingyang differently. After all, the name Chen Chusheng can control the entire entertainment industry in Santai City. Gray and white can go away. He felt a little uncomfortable with these middle-aged bigwigs from various fields praising this young man so much. I didn't expect that our small reputation would be heard by Mr. Xu. Dong Chengming shook his head and smiled. "Hey, hurry up and serve the food. I can't wait to have a drink with Mr. Xu." Tang Ying's slightly naive voice came. Her role here today is to liven up the atmosphere. Some things are hard to talk about after drinking. Sit down, let's talk about business first. Xu Xingyang adjusted his sitting position and stopped Chen Haohai, who was going to the corner to get some wine. Several people looked at each other. They didn't expect Xu Xingyang to be so straightforward. "We are all adults, and you are all well-known figures. If you have anything to say, just say it directly. Beating around the bush will only make things worse. You asked me to come to dinner, so there must be a reason, right?" Xu Xingyang said directly. Forehead. His frankness surprised these old foxes. But after all, they were all people who had seen the world. Tang Ying was the first to react and chuckled. "Mr. Xu is really a quick-witted person. Brother Dong, just speak frankly." "Okay, since Mr. Xu is straightforward, I won't be shy. We are currently looking for an investor. The second brother, that is, Haohai, met you by chance, so I have a favor to ask of you." Afterwards, Dong Chengming explained his current situation. Tinglong Real Estate acquired a piece of land last year. According to the normal process, it should have auctioned the land first, then started construction, and then sold it after the construction reached a certain level. However, as a leading local enterprise, Tinglong Real Estate has an advantage, which is to start construction on this land first and start selling houses during or even before construction. This is what is called a pre-sale property. The proceeds from the house sales will be used to fill the gap in the construction funds, including the hole in the purchase of the land at the future auction. That is, build the house first, then buy the land. But there is a fatal loophole here, that is, you have to succeed in buying the land in the end. Local companies naturally have to give it some respect, but for competitors, it is a fatal flaw. A large real estate company from another province plans to enter Yunhai, and its primary target is Tinglong. So when Tinglong was bidding for this piece of land, this competitor made a move and actually bid a super high price, which forced Tinglong to win the bid directly. So the land became someone else's, and the house that Tinglong had built before became an illegal building. And the other party does not accept any mediation. Dozens of buildings in the entire project were blown up overnight. Tamron's initial investment was completely wasted and its stock price plummeted. This includes compensation to individual home sellers, loan interest on advance funds, huge fines, and countless civil lawsuits. Dong Changming's hair turned white overnight. And this is not the most fatal thing. Chapter 24, 10,000. No, I'll give you 100,000. The most fatal thing is that Tinglong Real Estate has 3 more projects like this. And the auction will start soon. If these 3 are also taken away by the opponent, Tamron Real Estate is finished. Dong Changming is finished and may even go to jail. Even Chen Haohai had a hard time with this. Because much of Tinglong's initial funds were borrowed from Guangming Bank, Chen Haohai now has a lot of bad debts on his mind. Moreover, the 4 heroes of Yunhai each have shares in the companies of several other people. Take the people sitting in the room now, for example. Chen Haohai, Chen Chusheng, and even Tang Ying later became shareholders of Tinglong. Now they are people in the same boat. After Dong Changming finished his story, everyone turned their eyes to Xu Xingyang. Xu Xingyang had half closed his eyes the whole time, but he slowly opened them and looked at Dong Changming and asked, "So you guys want me to invest?" "Good." Dong Changming sighed. "How much money do you need to fill these holes?" "At least 10,000. Dong Changming gritted his teeth and stretched out a finger. Tinglong still has some foundation. If he sells everything he has and gets another 10,000, he can survive. But 10,000 yuan is really not a small amount. I have 10,000, but yours is a mess. Why should I spend this money on a mess?" Xu Xingyang rubbed his ears and said with a frown. These words immediately made Dong Changming feel disappointed. The others looked at each other, all worried. "Mr. Xu, if you have any conditions, you can also put them forward. We brothers have been able to support each other until today because of our sense of loyalty. As long as you are willing to help, we will definitely follow your lead in the future." Chen Chusheng took a deep breath and spoke sincerely, making his attitude clear. In fact, there is no need to say this, Xu Xingyang can also see it. This is what is called a friend in need is a friend indeed. If it weren't for the 4 heroes of Yunhai's loyalty, it would have been difficult for them to get to where they are today. Loyalty is good, but I want more than that. Xu Xingyang also reached out and pressed lightly on the table. If I have to clean up a mess, there is only one possibility, that is, the mess belongs to me. After Xu Xingyang finished speaking, the expressions of the others all changed. "Mr. Xu, do you mean you want to control Tinglong?" Even Dong Changming frowned slightly. Xu Xingyang glanced at the few people. "You don't want to." The others also fell into deep thought. Xu Xingyang seems to be taking advantage of the situation. But we have to say that this is their last hope. If they want to be controlled by a majority shareholder now, you won't find a second one. If Dong Changming does not agree to Xu Xingyang and allows the situation to continue to develop, he will be doomed and the other people will also be seriously implicated. Willing. After a long time, Dong Changming finally nodded, but there was not much joy on their faces. Xu Xingyang pointed at these people a few times. "Look at your expressions. Did I say I would only offer 10,000 shares? So what do you mean?" Several people were puzzled. "Listen carefully, I'm going to give you 100,000 yuan in cash. I've calculated that only 17,000 is enough to control Tamron today. After I take control of Tamron, the remaining money will be left to you to manage, and I will only be the boss behind the scenes. There will be no changes to the company's systems or personnel, and you will still be in charge of the company. Are you satisfied with this?" Several people were completely dumbfounded. 100,000. Tinglong is not worth 100,000 now. Xu Xingyang really paid 100,000 to buy the company, but he only held the controlling stake and even reserved a part of the shares for them. There is no need to doubt what he said later, because if what he said was false, then his previous actions were meaningless. For a moment, Dong Changming and his companions felt as if they were in a dream. With this 100,000, the company will not only be able to come back to life, but will also be able to soar to new heights. You are telling the truth. Several people opened their eyes wide with excitement. Give me your bank account number. Zhengyang didn't waste any time and directly stretched out his hand to Dong Changming. Dong Changming handed over the bank card in a daze. They all had a vague idea in their mind, but they didn't dare to think about it too deeply. Zhengyang took out his mobile phone and operated it a few times. System bank transfer, no limit, arrive in seconds. Zhengyang threw his bank card back on the table with a snap and said casually, "As long as you follow me closely, we will be invincible." As Zhengyang finished speaking, a heart-stopping sound came from Dong Changming's cell phone. Your Guangming bank account, the number ending in 6688, has received 100,000 yuan. As the last bill was reported, the water cup in Tang Ying's hand fell onto the table with a bang. Four sculptures have taken shape. Is Zhengyang really a human being? It would be fine if he just casually took out 100,000 yuan, but the key point is that there was no lawyer, no contract, and the money was just transferred directly. Dong Changming only felt that his bank card was getting hot. When they were petrified, they didn't know that Zhengyang was secretly happy. Naturally, he was not afraid that Dong Changming and the others would run away. Even if he had to burn the 100,000 yuan now, as long as he could get the points, Zhengyang felt it was worth it. Money is external material, but its comprehensive attributes improve the body's functions. Is this something that can be measured by money? I spent 100,000 yuan at once. How many points should I get? Tens, hundreds, millions, tens of millions. Zhengyang has already started to think about it. But reality is always cruel. As soon as the transfer was completed, the system prompt sounded. Congratulations on spending 100,000 yuan, but since you are suspected of cheating on points, this reward is 1,000 points. Nima exploded. Zhengyang wanted to smash the system to death. It's not possible to redeem points. If I had known this earlier, I wouldn't have spent 100,000 directly. Tens of thousands would have been fine too. Cow, why didn't you say so earlier? But he didn't have time to worry about it. Chen Haohai and the others looked at each other, suddenly stood up, and the three of them walked directly to the table and knelt down on one knee. Kneeling on both knees means surrender, kneeling on one knee means submission. This action scared Zhengyang. From now on, I'm Dong Changming. Chen Haohai. Chen Chushen. I will follow Mr. Shu's lead and fight for his life. Tang Ying was very discerning and pulled out a bottle of white wine from the side. She skillfully opened the lid with a snap and directly poured 3 large glasses of white wine for the 3 people. They have been in the business world for so many years and have seen countless storms and witnessed countless filth. But I have never seen anyone like Zhengyang. According to what Chen Haohai said before, Zhengyang had 660,000 yuan in cash. How much is the personal assets of China's richest man? 380,000. And Zhengyang also said at the time, why is it just this little, which means this is not his limit. If a man who possesses twice the wealth of China's richest man is in front of you, will you choose to betray him and go it alone, or hold on to this man and rise to the top with him? Zhengyang is definitely not simple. Faced with such a person, if he transfers 100,000 yuan to you, who would dare to play any tricks? They were so scared that they didn't dare. Only by taking this opportunity to submit to Zhengyang and holding on to this thick leg, they can use Zhengyang's power to accomplish what they dare not even think of. Chapter 25, Tailor-Made. Watching the 3 of them drink down 3 tails of white wine in one gulp, Zhengyang felt sick for them. Tang Ying was not to be outdone. She poured a full cup and bowed to Zhengyang. Cheers to you. Then he drank it all in one gulp. Okay, get up, from now on everyone just need to unite and work hard. Zhengyang also hurried out and pulled several people up one by one. He had actually achieved his goal today, demonstrating his strength, making them loyal to him, and taking over Tinlong real estate. It can also be regarded as a small explanation to myself for the hard work I put in starting a business in the past. Can we serve the food now? Helping a few people up, Zhengyang smiled slightly. I'll arrange it right away. Chen Chushin quickly opened the door and went out to give orders. After sitting down again, Dong Changming and his companions felt much more relaxed. The huge burden on their shoulders has been resolved, and now they have Xinhua as their strong backer, and their hearts are filled with joy. I'll call the lawyer right now and ask him to prepare the contract. I'll give it to you when it's all done. Several people have now completely positioned themselves as subordinates, and from now on they will only have Xinhua as their leader. Well, just plug the hole in front of you. This is just a response. The source is this local enterprise from another province. Tell me what you plan to do. Xinhua said to Dong Changming. Dong Changming was a little entangled and said, Boss, are you really going to leave this money entirely to me? Don't employ those you doubt, and don't doubt those you employ. Xinhua uttered 8 words lightly. This made Dong Changming stand up straighter. Okay, then I'll tell you. Dong Changming's intention is actually very straightforward. It can be called a shopping spree. Since the real estate company had previously bid a high price for the land and had already spent a lot of money, Dong Changming would keep a close eye on them next. Get the high-quality land at a high price. For inferior plots of land, just raise the price. Completely destroying their deployment is the fastest way to break the foreign company's bones. If you have money, you can do whatever you want. Just smash it. Then he talked about some plans. By this time, the food had already been served and everyone was chatting about everything under the sun. The atmosphere was very harmonious. Okay, everything is fine, but there is still something missing. I remember that there is a piece of land in Qiandao Lake that is worth a lot of money. After Xinhua finished speaking, several people stopped using their chopsticks and looked at Xinhua in shock. Boss, the reason why that piece of land has been unsold is because no one can afford it. If we bid, I'm afraid that foreign company won't dare to bid a single price. If we are going to do it, we have to do it big. We have to take over all the residential and commercial land around Qiandao Lake. I estimate that the maximum area is only 2,000 to 3,000 acres. If the money is not enough, come to me. I believe that the authorities will take the initiative to contact us when the time comes. At least a high-tech development zone will be established. By then, when the policy is in place, everything will go smoothly and we can build a new city called Thousand Islands. That would be something great. As Xinhua spoke, he picked up a glass of juice and took a sip. The others were all confused. Qiandao New Town. What's that? Is this human language? Xinhua is not only arrogant, but also knows a lot. Even at a young age, he has the demeanor of a hero. They have to look at me with new eyes again. I understand, boss. Dong Changming nodded heavily. By the way, stop calling me boss all the time. I don't want others to know that I'm the boss behind Tinlong. I'm afraid of trouble, so from now on, in front of others, you can just call me Master. Master. Several people were stunned. Xinhua thought about it and decided that he didn't want to reveal his identity in the future, but he had to interact with them frequently. What kind of person would frequently interact with rich people? Yes. Feng Shui Master. When people ask you why you know me, just tell them that I can read Feng Shui. And I have indeed studied Feng Shui for a long time. Xinhua said with a smile that he used to be bored and did a lot of research when he was in college. Oh? Really? Tang Ying asked with interest. Of course, let's talk about this room. Look at this window. It faces the road directly to the east, so it should be in conflict with the road. But he placed 2 Qilin on both sides, which clearly showed that a Feng Shui master had helped him to ward off evil spirits. After Xinhua finished speaking, he looked at Chen Chuxing. Chen Chuxing didn't need to be surprised. Chen Haohai and Dong Changming both looked horrified. We were the ones who helped him find the Feng Shui master. Yes, this Qilin was placed here by the Feng Shui master. Chen Chuxing was also shocked. I didn't expect that Xinhua was not just joking, he really could do it. Har har, I'm just an amateur, I'm just learning for fun, don't take it seriously, anyway, just call me like this in the future. Good. Several people agreed. Oh, Tang Ying, I'm going to a party with Paula, and I don't have any clothes yet. Can you please help me find a set of men's clothes? Don't wear a suit that's too formal. Try to keep it casual, like Brother Chen-san's style. Men's clothing can't be casual, otherwise it won't look good. I want your size, and I'll make you a suit myself. Oh, okay, I'll send it back to you. Har har, why bother looking back? I was born a tailor. Do you know how tailors used to measure people? Tang Ying giggled immediately and looked at Xu Xingyang with charming eyes. The other three also smiled slightly, revealing a smile that all men understand. Only Xu Xingyang was a little confused. How do you measure it? Stand up and leave it to me. After Tang Ying finished speaking, she stood up quietly, took Xu Xingyang's hand with her small hand, and pulled him to an open space nearby. Then I started measuring using my hands as a ruler. From the shoulders, to the arms, then to the waist and hips. Xu Xingyang remembered that this was how the older generation measured size. In the past, when old ladies made clothes, they would tell your size just by taking off your coat, not just measuring your body. It was magical. But it was a bit beyond Xu Xingyang's expectations that Tang Ying, the queen of the fashion industry, could do it too. But Tang Ying obviously had some naughty intentions in there. I have to admit that Tang Ying is a beautiful woman with a charming temperament. Although he is in his 30s, he has been in the secular world for many years. Such a beautiful woman personally took measurements for Xu Xingyang and tailored clothes for him. I'm afraid no one in the entire Yunhai has this treatment. Seeing Tang Ying teasing Xu Xingyang until he blushed, Dong Changming and the others could no longer hold back their laughter. Xu Xingyang's face was filled with black lines. Tang Ying also walked back to Xu Xingyang, her face flushed as she smiled. Okay, I'll find someone to do it right away. Master Xu, please wait patiently. Xu Xingyang sat back in his seat helplessly. He even felt a fever on his face just now. No. My self-control is too poor. Let us add the points first. Previously, the gym gave 500 points when buying classes. Plus this times 1000 points. The comprehensive attributes quickly became 1595 points. But Xu Xingyang made a mistake. He regretted it at that time and added all the points at once. Chapter 26, Come to my place for a drink tonight. 1500 points were added at once. Xu Xingyang's body suddenly felt as if it were electrified, especially his muscles, which felt a sharp pain. Even my stomach was aching. Xu Xingyang instantly held his belly, with his facial features slightly distorted. Boss. When Dong Changming and others saw Xu Xingyang like this, they were immediately shocked. Chen Chuxing was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat and covered his stomach. Could he be poisoned? This was the banquet he had arranged. Fortunately, this terrifying feeling soon began to dissipate. Xu Xingyang waved his hand. I'm fine. I just have an old problem, stomach cramps. Stomach cramps? I've only heard of angina pectoris. I'm going to the bathroom. After feeling a little better, Xu Xingyang wanted to stand up by holding the table. I'll help you. Tang Ying sat aside and wanted to help. As a result, Xu Xingyang's hand just touched the edge of the table. Click. A crisp sound was heard. Xu Xingyang broke off a corner of the table with just one claw. Several people froze at the same time. The scene was dead silent. Xu Xingyang was also confused. This is the finest. Hainan Huanghuali wood. Chen Chuxing swallowed hard. He was not sure if what he said was true. Because of the crisp sound just now, it was actually a piece of chocolate. Xu Xingyang finally came to his senses and tried to grab the edge of another table. No, Click. A larger piece of the table edge was broken off. Xu Xingyang looked helpless. I'm going to the bathroom first. After saying that, he held his stomach and walked straight to the bathroom, leaving for people standing there in a daze. Chen Haohai picked up a piece of wood that Xu Xingyang had broken off and smashed it on Chen Chuxing's head. Hiss. Tilde. Chen Chuxing covered his head and looked at him in confusion. It's true. What's going on? Have you ever practiced kung fu? Look at this, our boss is a Superman. Dong Changming also tried to bend it at the corner of the table. Not moving at all. Just kidding, Hainan Huanghuali wood is the preferred material for making load-bearing wooden tools. It is not only hard, but also extremely tough and cannot be broken easily. It's like his dreaming. The shock several people suffered today was a bit too great. At this time, Xu Xingyang washed his face in the sink and clenched his fists. Everything that just happened was body transformation. Now that the transformation is completed, Xu Xingyang felt for the first time what it means to be reborn. Whether it is physical fitness or the five senses. A fly flew past him, and Xu Xingyang raised his hand. Whoosh! The fly was pinched by its wings by Xinhua. Damn it, this $100,000 is not wasted. At the beginning, Xinhua broke the corner of the table because he couldn't control his strength well. It's like your mouse sensitivity suddenly becomes extremely high. The speed is faster, but basic operations such as controlling the gun and walking need to be familiar to you from the beginning. After leaving the corridor, Xinhua stood at the corner and found that his hearing had become much sharper. It's not that the sound is amplified, but that you can hear it more clearly, farther, and more subtly. This feeling is extremely mysterious, and there is even a feeling of being in control. Xinhua closed his eyes and tried to intentionally extend his hearing. Soon it covered the entire third floor and even the second floor. He heard Tang Ying and others talking in low voices. Do you think the boss is trying to show us his power and intimidate us? It should be. After all, China has such wealth and is not on the list. It must be a super family. The boss is probably the young master of a super family. Big families like them might learn some internal and external martial arts for self-defense. We don't care if it's a show of force or not. As long as we are determined, we will never make mistakes. That's right. Hearing this, Xinhua nodded secretly. But soon he heard a familiar voice coming from the second floor, or to be exact, it was a bit noisy. It seems to be Chen Meng. Xinhua had an idea and did not go back to the box, but went directly to the second floor. At this time, at a table on the second floor, Chen Meng, his parents and Li Hu were all looking worried. There were two other people at the table, one middle-aged and one young. The middle-aged man's face was covered with acne scars and he looked a bit ferocious. At this moment, he was looking at Chen Meng with a silver smile on his face. Boss Liu, although we don't have a contract, we have a verbal agreement. It's fine if you don't want to buy our chickens, but why did you tell other slaughterhouses that there was something wrong with our chickens? How did we offend you? Chen Meng looked aggrieved and asked anxiously. Xiao Chen, you need to provide evidence when you speak. If you say this, I can sue you for defamation. Mr. Liu leaned back and sneered. But we will only take this batch of chicks if you agree to buy them. We have invested so much, and now we don't want them if you say no. We are now selling it to other slaughterhouses, but they don't want it either. That's more than 2,000 chickens, we simply can't afford it. Chen Meng's eyes turned red from anxiety and tears fell uncontrollably. After all, she was too young and didn't realize the importance of the contract. TSK, why are you crying? Didn't I tell you what to do? I am having problems with my equipment now, so I have to abandon some suppliers. If you don't fight for it, I will have to abandon you. If you fight for it, I will abandon others. Mr. Liu was not moved at all and said with a smile. I can't agree to go to your house to drink so late at night. I don't understand what it means, and I don't want to understand. That's right, Mr. Liu. I won't allow my daughter to do that. At this time, Chen Meng's father also spoke in a deep voice. Okay, since you are so brave, just stand firm. Mr. Liu leaned back comfortably and spoke in a lukewarm tone. At this time Li Hu spoke. He picked up the wine glass with a smile. Boss Liu, come, I'll toast you a glass. I think forget about letting Chen Meng go to your place. Let me suggest this, I'll give you all their broiler chickens at half the original price. What do you think? Give me some face. Half. Chen Meng suddenly became anxious. If they didn't give Mr. Liu and the others a chance to find clients in other places, but if they only got half of them, they would lose a lot of money. Li Hu didn't care whether they paid compensation or not. He just wants to settle this matter and show off his face. Mr. Liu glanced at him. Give you face? Who are you? I'm the regional manager of CITIC Financial Management. Li Hu said with some pride. CITIC Financial Management, regional manager. Mr. Liu sneered, his expression suddenly changed, and he kicked Li Hu's stool, causing it to move half a meter. Li Hu's wine immediately spilled all over himself. Fuck you, what has your business got to do with what we're talking about? You're giving me advice, who the hell do you think you are? Get lost. You idiot. Mr. Liu was very angry. From the beginning, he agreed to take in the broiler chickens from Chen Meng's family because he was planning to plot against her. I let them raise a batch of chicks first, but I didn't sign the contract. Now I spread rumors that their chickens have problems. Chen Meng could only beg himself to buy the chicken at the original price. You have to accompany yourself for one night. Everything was planned well, but out of nowhere came this idiot who was so ignorant as to give advice. Chapter 27, Send it here later. Although the kick did not hit him, but it was extremely insulting, and Li Hu didn't even dare to fart. Because Mr. Liu is the owner of a larger local slaughterhouse, and I heard he has some connections in the underground. So after being kicked, although Li Hu was annoyed, he could only wipe the wine off his body obediently. After kicking him, Mr. Liu also lost his patience. You don't want to, right? If you don't want to, just wait and see whether you sell them to other places first, or I let these chickens rot in my hands first. Mr. Liu sneered, stood up, straightened his clothes and was about to leave. However, he was very slow in his actions because he had no intention of destroying their chicken farm. But he wanted to deal with Chen Meng. As expected, Chen Meng's mother stood up quickly. Hey, Mr. Liu, look. She actually wanted to ask if there was any other way. Although she was also very cruel, she didn't really want her daughter to accompany this guy. But if Mr. Liu wanted to deal with them, their family would be really finished, and they wouldn't even have the chance to move out of town. She wanted to ask if it was okay for her to go and accompany Mr. Liu on behalf of her daughter. But she couldn't speak because her husband was beside her, so she wanted to pull Mr. Liu aside to talk alone. At this time, Chen Meng and the others also stood up. However, Chen Meng turned around with red eyes and saw a familiar figure. It was Xinhua. Xinhua came to Chen Meng, looked at her red eyes, and frowned immediately. Xinhua. Well, I heard what happened just now. You don't have to beg him. From now on, all the chickens from your chicken farm will be sent directly here. Haicheng Hotel will buy them at twice your price. We will take as many as you can. Xinhua looked at Chen Meng with a smile and said, let alone 2,000, even 5,000 can be taken by Chen Chusheng, as he has more than just this one hotel in Haicheng. Chen Meng opened her mouth slightly and looked at Xinhua in disbelief, and she couldn't believe her ears. Xinhua. Why the hell are you everywhere? This is none of your business, go away. Li Hu said fiercely, gritting his teeth. Today is so damn unlucky. I met Xinhua, who was against me in every way. I had just been kicked by Mr. Liu and was feeling extremely angry. Xinhua came again to solve the problem. If he really solved Chen Meng's problem, then he would be nothing. Chen Meng quickly shook his head. Xinhua, it's okay, I can handle it, please don't owe anyone a favor because of me. Chen Meng said worriedly. She believed Xinhua must know the boss of Haicheng, but now that he came down alone, those people didn't even see him off, probably because the business deal was not concluded, which meant that he was not familiar with the boss. If you owe others a favor just to stand out for yourself, it will not be worth it. Because favors are the most valuable. She felt sorry for Xinhua and didn't want him to get into trouble for her. Chen Meng's mother was so angry that she quickly pushed her daughter away. What a silly girl, she pushed such a good thing away. Isn't she stupid? She quickly put on a flattering smile and said to Xinhua. Xinhua, right? Can we really cooperate with Haicheng Hotel in the future? Okay. Xinhua nodded. Oh, that's great, thank you so much. You're welcome. I'm helping you because of your daughter. It has nothing to do with you. Xinhua said bluntly. Oh, yes. Chen Meng's mother was choked and looked embarrassed, but no matter what, Xinhua was indeed brought upstairs by the Haicheng boss Gao Jiuanying, so if he dared to say so, he would definitely be able to get the job done. Originally, Mr. Liu was frightened by the tone of Xinhua's voice. I thought Xinhua was the owner of this hotel, but when I heard that he even dared to scold Li Hu, I knew he couldn't be the boss. I guess he's just helping Chen Meng bluff. As a result, he became more and more excited the more he talked. No matter who it is today, if anyone stands in my way of getting together with Chen Meng, he deserves to die. I'll give you 5 seconds. Go back to where you came from. If you say one more word, I'll kill you. Mr. Liu had a cold expression on his face. He stared at Xinhua intently and spoke word by word. Especially the last few words, they are really powerful. If you say he has killed 2 people, there will definitely be people who believe it. Before he finished speaking, 4 people walked quickly up from behind Xinhua. It was Chen Haohai and his 4 companions. They waited in the house for a long time and Xinhua didn't come back. They were afraid that Xinhua had fainted or something, so they ran to the bathroom to check, but he wasn't there. Then they found him downstairs. As a result, as soon as I got to the second floor, I heard Mr. Liu wanting to kill Xu Xingyang. Several people's expressions changed. Chen Chusheng was born in the Huadao sect and had a very hot temper. After becoming the boss, he had not done anything himself for a long time. He took 2 quick steps and his neck cracked. Mr. Liu suddenly saw Chen Chusheng appear behind Xu Xingyang, and his eyes widened immediately. As someone who has been in the underworld for a few years, he naturally knows Chen Chusheng, the Earth Tai Sui of Santai, and this Haicheng hotel is exactly his. He didn't know how much power it had, but it was more than enough to crush him to death. He was surprised how he could meet Chen Chusheng today, and was thinking about how to get to know him. Then he saw Chen Chusheng walking towards him with a fierce look in his eyes. Bang! A loud slap landed on his face. The huge force made him a little dazed and he felt his teeth become loose. Boom! 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 Chen Chusheng slapped Mr. Liu in the face 4 times in a row, causing him to go into shock for a second. If the young man behind him had not supported him, he would have fallen down. Chen Chusheng pointed at him coldly. Hide. No, no, no. I dare not, Master Chen, what's wrong with me? Mr. Liu regained some consciousness, but he was so frightened that he didn't know why Chen Chusheng hit him. I'll make you stand still. Chen Chusheng's veins popped out and he roared angrily, and all the customers around him scattered in fear. If there was anyone who dared to cause trouble and beat people up in Haicheng Hotel, it would have to be Chen Chusheng. Chen Chusheng was furious, like a ferocious god, with an aura so terrifying that Mr. Liu's legs went limp on the spot. However, he forced himself to hold onto the young man beside him and stood firm. This young man was just his driver, but now he has become his crutch. Bang! 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 Chen Chusheng swung his fist and slapped him 12 times. Mr. Liu's face was already swollen, blood was oozing from the corners of his mouth, and 2 of his teeth were knocked out, but Chen Chusheng hit him harder and harder. This scene scared everyone out of their wits. No one doubted that Chen Chusheng could slap General Liu to death today. Finally. Okay. Xu Xingyang spoke. Chen Chusheng's hand then stopped. With just 2 words, everyone present knew why Chen Chusheng hit Mr. Liu.